And we're going to have a rainy Wednesday ahead. Temperatures will hold steady throughout the day, though. Check out the forecast coming up right after the news. Well, there's a big meeting scheduled for today between Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Vice President J.D. Vance, and their counterparts from Greenland and Denmark. It comes as President Trump continues to push for Greenland to become an American territory, saying the Arctic island is a national security priority. But Greenland's premier has said publicly already that Greenlanders have no desire to become part of the U.S.
That's their problem. That's their problem. I disagree with them. I don't know who he is, don't know anything about him, but that's going to be a big problem for him.
That's the president speaking last night. He insists that Greenland would fall into the hands of China or Russia if it is not under U.S. governance. Here in Tennessee, lawmakers are expected to discuss expanding Governor Lee's school voucher program. Channel 4's Lauren Lowry on last year's school voucher numbers.
42,000 applications, nearly 43,000 were submitted. The state used all 20,000 scholarship spots, and students in 86 of the 95 counties in Tennessee were awarded money. Data from the state education department shows the majority of recipients in those counties came from families with incomes lower than $170,000. What we could see happen next is the program double in size, potentially, and that could cost the state about $144 million. Republican leaders are expected to take the charge on this. Tennessee Speaker of the House Cameron Sexton told us expanding the program would simply be to meet demand since so many people applied last year and weren't able to get it.
Now, the application process for next school year is currently open through the end of this month. The first Tennessee mass layoff announcement of the new year, Wilson County Freight Company Smoky Mountain Logistics has just announced it's closing its doors for good. About 145 employees will be out of a job. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com.
Stocks pulled back from the records as investors digested the latest inflation numbers, and the next round of earnings season kicked off. The Dow lost 398 points, the S&P dropped 13, and the Nasdaq slipped 24. The newest inflation data shows consumers paid prices last month that were 2.7% higher overall than a year earlier. It's still above the Fed's 2% inflation target rate. J.P. Morgan kicked off the latest report season by delivering a weaker profit and revenue than analysts expected. Its stock fell 4% and was one of the heaviest on the indexes. Moderna jumped 16% for the biggest gain in the S&P, saying it expects a sales growth. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
Some weakness on the futures market this morning. Dow futures down 173, NASDAQ futures minus 190. S&P futures are down 34. That's the latest news. Stick around. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Got some clear roads right now, but we do have some rain moving in. Things will change quickly. Things on 40, 65, and 24 looking good so far. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.506 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to you. Hope you are doing well, and welcome on in to a Wednesday, January 14th. Joan and I and Sam, we're all sort of just laughing about President Trump flipping the bird to that heckler in Michigan yesterday. That was very funny. What'd you say, Joan?
He feels us.
He does feel us. That's kind of how I feel.
Yeah.
And mouthing F you a couple of times as well. You know what's interesting? I wonder if that same guy, and I've got the whole story, but I wonder if that same guy would go scream at Bill and Hillary Clinton for not showing up at those hearings yesterday.
Yep. Well, they're going to get theirs. They'll be subpoenaed.
Well, we'll see if they show up for said subpoena and all that. So we'll talk about all of that. But, you know, I do feel like Trump mouthing F you and launching that middle finger, that really does feel like it's representative of MAGA right now, of Donald Trump supporters. Like
we're over it.
Like we're over it.
Yeah.
You know what? Minnesota protesters, I mean, listen, if you want to continue, protesters all across the country, including apparently there was a bunch of protesters here in Nashville last night. And so if you want to go and do stupid stuff, knock yourselves out and let the chips fall where they may. But problem is that they're only causing their own side more consternation, because I do believe that their bad behavior will ultimately harm them in the midterm elections, which I understand is a long way away. There was a story real quickly, and I've got a lot to cover. By the way, Jack Johnson, Senate Majority Leader here in Tennessee, is going to be with us at 7:36. Have a new legislative session that started this week. And Stephen Bucci going to give us all the latest on Iran at 8:06 as well. Matthew Hurt, I'm hoping to schedule him for 6:36. But there was, I don't know if you folks saw this. I've got audio here if we could. I'm going to have to stop and start this because we don't have video editing equipment here at the radio station. We don't need to go through that again. So Channel 5 runs this piece, and I guess there's a bunch of hysteria on the left because you have Cameron Sexton, House Speaker Cameron Sexton. Apparently, the Republicans are working with Stephen Miller to write some state legislative policy regarding illegal immigration. And everybody's freaking out on the left. Now, personally, I don't think this is a big deal. I think it's good because the vast majority of the people, say what you will about Donald Trump and say what you will about Stephen Miller, but the vast majority of the American people agree with mass deportation. So this is the story, and I need some video. This is the story from Channel 5. And again, I'm just going to have to stop and start this.
Proposals. Our Patsy Montesino spoke with advocacy groups who say they're ready to stand up for their neighbors.
It's no secret that a crackdown on immigration is one of the top priorities for the White House. And News Channel 5 is learning that Tennessee lawmakers are hoping to help them get there and make Tennessee one of the models for immigration enforcement.
I love that. I mean, why wouldn't Tennessee be a model for immigration enforcement? I think that that's what Tennesseans voted for. And me personally, I think it's great that we're working with Stephen Miller. But I want you to focus in on how they demonize Stephen Miller. And like usual, they actually don't go into any specifics as far as why they're demonizing Stephen Miller, why they're talking about him in such, negative ways and negative connotations. It's all just sort of intimated, like, yeah, we all know that we're supposed to hate Stephen Miller, and how dare the Republicans work with Stephen Miller on illegal immigration or immigration policy in the state of Tennessee.
We've been working with the White House on the immigration package.
Before the gavel drops for this year's session, Republicans say their work has been underway for months.
You're going to see a number of bills that are filed that are against illegal immigration.
Like meeting with White House Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy Stephen Miller,
Dun, dun, dun.
credited with many of the administration's core beliefs. Miller has been a driving force behind stricter enforcement, ICE recruitment, and its deployment.
And I've been working with them and Stephen Miller now for several months, and I think it'll be more about transparency and other things in data, but it's a definite direction that we're going where no one else is going.
Yeah, that's Cameron Sexton, and it makes all the sense in the world. Look up for me. I should know this off the top of my head, but Sam, Donald Trump won the state of Tennessee by how much? I've forgotten now, but it was a pretty good amount. And so it's clear that illegal immigration has been a big part of the Trump campaign when he was running against Joe Biden and his open border policy, Kamala Harris as well. And so, you know, Cameron Sexton, and by the way, one of the things that, as we play this, one of the things that they're talking about is transparency. We want to know how many people, how many illegal aliens are in the state of Tennessee. And frankly, I would like to know how we can get them out. Talk to me, Sam.
Almost 30. 29.7.
Okay.
These discussions concern lawmakers across the aisle, like Tennessee's Democratic Caucus Chair John Ray Clemens.
This is a gentleman who's known for a lot of controversial legislation, a lot of discrimination and hate type of policies.
Clemens
What are you talking about, John Ray Clemens?
Rural towns.
Can he give any specifics? John Ray Clemens, can you give anything specific about how Stephen Miller is responsible for, I don't know, controversial policies and hatred? Because I know that Stephen Miller and the Trump administration, they want to, I mean, how many days? How many days am I going to have to sit here and talk about who it is that the Trump administration is deporting? Am I going to have to do this for a third day in a row for
What I like
John Ray Clemens?
is that reporter didn't ask for specifics.
Thank you, Joan.
Like, follow that. You can't make a statement like that without asking for the follow-up.
Do you know what, Joan? I'm going to admit something. Hey, listeners, flag the tape. I'm going to admit something right now, that some of my opinions and my stated policy preferences on illegal immigration, they are based on hatred. Hatred of child molesters, child murderers, drug dealers, gang members.
I think that kind of hatred is okay.
Rapists. Is it though, Joan? I mean, if you look at what's happening in Minnesota, if you listen to John Ray Clemens, where they've just got these vague generalities of, oh, Stephen Miller is, he's full of hatred. Well, you know what? I number one, I appreciate people that hate evil. And if there's one thing that we have noticed as far as the Democrats go, whether we're talking about Kamala Harris or Alejandro Mayorkas or Joe Biden or Afton Bain and all of these other folks, is that they won't denounce people that they should denounce. They won't denounce the murderers or the child rapists or the kidnappers and the human traffickers. They won't denounce it. And so while people on our side are saying, you know, what the H, why are we letting all of these flippin' Somalians in here when they rip off our country? Yeah, you know what, John Ray Clemens? I hate that, and you should too. But you're right, Joan. The reporter doesn't ask for anything specific. We've got more on this straight ahead. It is 5:15. Time to check the roads on WTN.
Same as before, really nothing happening on the road so far this morning. Pretty quiet, but just know that there is some rain moving in, and that always slows things down. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. As far as the weather goes, cooler with periods of rain and drizzle in the early afternoon, becoming breezy in the afternoon, a high of 48, feeling like 41. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. All right, so let's continue on. This is Channel 5 and their conversation with Cameron Sexton, House Speaker Cameron Sexton, John Ray Clemens as well, a Democrat. And they're talking about how, oh, the horror. Cameron Sexton working with Stephen Miller and the Trump administration to make Tennessee really a model for how to deal with illegal immigration. Here's more.
Known for a lot of controversial legislation, a lot of discrimination and hate type of policies.
Clemens says he traveled to 11 rural towns during a listening tour, and immigration never came up.
What was mentioned over and over were people
This is the Afton Bain model where she was, and I'm going to let him talk, but he's going to talk about how Tennesseans are worried about affordability, roads, rural hospitals. And yeah, obviously we're concerned about that as well, but we can walk and chew gum at the same time.
Scared to death of paying higher prices for their insurance premiums, for their school being underfunded, and for their roads being in the worst shape they've ever seen them.
Lawmakers say more details could come later this week, but News Channel 5 has been able to confirm Republicans are crafting 8 to 9 immigration-focused bills, legislation that could directly affect how many people living in Tennessee are undocumented. Advocacy.
Isn't that good, though? Like, did you hear that line that the reporter just said? 8 to 9 pieces of legislation or bills that could impact the number of undocumented immigrants here in the state of Tennessee. Well, that's a good thing, isn't it? Am I missing something? I don't think I'm missing anything. What do we know? We know that oftentimes undocumented immigrants, illegal aliens, a number of things happen. Number one, and I'm not saying all of them, of course, but you have some who end up being perpetrators of crime. That's number one. And that's just a fact. That is just a fact. And I do hate those people. Number two, you have a lot of these folks who do end up on some sort of government assistance as well. Number three, we could talk about the suppression of wages. I mean, we've all talked about this before.
And the part he's conveniently leaving out is part of the reason. I mean, I would assume that people aren't bringing this up in local town halls in their rural counties to talk about it, is because the county sheriffs are holding these people on their detainers for ICE. They're not just letting them back out into the streets.
Oh, in the rural counties.
Yeah, which is where he said he went and visited 11 towns. And
yeah, they're not worried about it because guess what? The local sheriffs are holding these bad guys with their ICE detainers. You're right. And honestly, where do we have a lot of the issues with illegal immigration? It's in the bigger cities. Here's more.
Groups, including Turk Vote, says the direct link to Miller alarms them because he wants to eliminate even legal migration.
So she says that Stephen Miller wants to eliminate legal migration. Part of what the Trump administration has been talking about is, and remember what they did. They wanted to put a stop to all of this migration until we can figure out what in the world is going on, who is coming into our country, et cetera. So they're leaving out the part where Donald Trump and the Trump administration has said, hey, if you are from a nation that is full of America-hating terrorists and you want to come into our country, well, you know what? We're going to put a stop to that. We're going to slow that down because we got a lot of people that are coming into this country that don't have our best interests at heart as a nation. So again, it's the context that they're leaving out.
As Tennesseans, we should be deeply alarmed that they're aligning themselves with this really extreme character.
Do you have any specifics about why it is that Stephen Miller is extreme? What you know what's happening? What's happening is because Stephen Miller is such a, and I think this is true. Would you agree with this, Joan and Sam? Stephen Miller is really, really good at defending and selling the Trump administration's policies.
He is so laser focused.
He is absolutely laser focused. He is, I believe, as good, maybe even better than J.D. Vance at selling the president's immigration policies. Yep. Now, are they controversial? Yeah, they're controversial. But you know what? I would say that the people on the left Let me put it this way. Whose opinions are more controversial? Whose policies would be more controversial? I really want you to think about this. Republicans and conservatives want a secure border. We want to know who is coming into this country exactly. We want vetting, and we want people that can actually contribute to our country. Okay, that's conservatives. Democrats, they just want to let everybody in, whether or not they can contribute or not. They want them to come in huge numbers. They don't care about criminal records. They don't care what these people have done in the past, and they want to protect the criminals at all cost. So let me ask this question. Whose side is more controversial, Democrats or Republicans? I mean, this is a no-brainer.
And they want you to pay for it.
And they want us to pay for it. Great point, Sam. And they want the American people to pay for it. It seems to me like so this is, at least to me, this is an incredibly biased piece against conservatives in the State House, against Cameron Sexton, against Stephen Miller, against Trump supporters across the state of Tennessee.
Who has evil desires for this country.
Turk votes and the
Can I ask
remix
this question? Did they go, and I understand that they spoke to Cameron Sexton. But my question is this. They speak to two people from two pro-illegal alien, pro-criminal activist groups. This is Channel 5. They spoke to two activist groups that are pro-illegal immigration, pro no borders whatsoever, and pro all of these people, including really bad guys, bad hombres coming into this country. Did they speak to anybody on the other side? This is how I'm going to prove Channel 5 in this incredibly biased report, all right? They spoke to Cameron Sexton and another Republican, I don't know who it was. They spoke to John Ray Clemens. So they got, politically speaking, they've got both sides. Right? They got the Republicans and the Democrats. That's fine. But they've got two people from these pro-illegal immigration groups that are talking smack about Stephen Miller. So why don't you take one of these people that are talking smack about Stephen Miller, these pro-illegal immigration groups, and put one conservative in there talking about exactly why it is that conservatives want controlled legal migration, as opposed to just the open border policies that the Democrats have been favoring for the past, 4 years under Joe Biden. But they didn't. They went out and they spoke to people who are pro-illegal immigration, pro-criminal, and that's what they did. That's how you can tell that this piece from Channel 5 is biased.
Promise to push back.
If people wanted to get involved, one of the best ways they can is to show up at the Capitol with us. Listen to these legislators talk about these very harmful bills.
In Nashville, I'm Patsy Montesinos.
All right, good. There you go.
It's criminal how the press is operating
Isn't
now.
that just amazing?
It's
like
criminal.
I have not been a journalist in many years. But that is so incredibly biased. Now, just so you know, I'm not a journalist. I'm a talk show host. But, I mean, the bias is breathtaking from Channel 5.
At least they didn't defame Scott Adams and his death like other outlets did.
Oh, did you see what People magazine did?
No.
Oh.
Wait, okay, so hold on, because we're running late.
Okay, there's so much there.
I'm awfully wordy today. Watch out, folks.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that at 5:35. I did not. It was very sad. Scott Adams passed away. I did a whole thing yesterday. I think it was in this segment on Scott Adams and how he was talking about it's his. He's in his final days. Turns out he was in his final hours. It was announced that he had passed away
just after you left.
Just after I left the building.
Yep.
So yeah, very sad, very sad. And so I did not see how the media was defaming or demeaning Scott Adams. So we'll talk about that coming up at 5:35. It is 5:25. By the way, there was apparently a little protest at the Capitol building. Was it last night, Sam?
Yeah.
Okay.
Our resident village idiot, Justin Jones, leading the charge.
Joan. Justin Jones. By the way, Jack Johnson is going to join us at 7:36 to give us the, I guess, the other side of the story on what's going to happen at the state legislature, working with Stephen Miller and so forth. Because Channel 5 certainly did not give the perspective of, conservatives who have been concerned about illegal immigration. So anyway, it is 5:25, Nashville's Morning News, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Joan's got the news at 5:30. Joan.
Yeah, that new legislative session brought the same old protest in Nashville yesterday. Also, a Hollywood actor has turned himself in to face sexual contact of a minor charges. Those stories coming up at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning. It is now 48 degrees, cloudy skies. We'll have some rain moving in. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories here. The 2026 Tennessee legislative session now underway. Immigration has become a hot button issue in Tennessee and across the country. Republican leadership confirming that it has been working with the White House on a package of bills focused on supporting federal immigration enforcement. Now, we could get a peek at that legislation later this week. Meantime, Channel 4's Stacey Cameron reporting there have been fireworks from the public already.
There's already a large group of competing faith-based groups already making their voices heard today, protesting outside the legislative chambers. And 4 protesters were removed from the upstairs gallery in the House during debate on a bill dealing with cabarets and adult-oriented businesses.
Yeah, down to business. Republicans approved a bill that limits where drag shows can take place, staying 1,000 feet away from any church or childcare facility. Actor and director Timothy Busfield has turned himself in to police in New Mexico. Prosecutors allege he sexually assaulted 2 boys, twins, on the set of a Hollywood production. Busfield has denied the allegations, but he disappeared after the charges were announced.
What we were told is that the U.S. Marshals actually began a search in the Catskills of New York State. That's where he lives with his wife, Melissa Gilbert, who's also a famous actress. What he says is that he learned about these charges on Friday. He says he had to hire a lawyer, and then he drove 2,000 miles across the country to turn himself in.
That's ABC's Trevor Alt. For the first time in 50 years, the U.S. has experienced negative net migration. The Brookings Institution report says it's due to a large drop in entries and an increase in ICE removals of illegals and to self-deportations. Brookings expects it's a trend that'll continue this year. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Check, check. Check, check.
Gallatin got a crash on Vietnam Veterans Boulevard westbound side, right at Highway 31 East. That one involves some injuries this morning, slow in that area. Looking good otherwise on the major roadways. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.537, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Joe and Sam, the engineering aspects of broadcasting have always confused the living crap out of me.
Huh.
So, Joan, you're going to love this.
Mm-hmm.
So during Red Eye, I go on to the super text line. I just opened it up. I got like 50 people telling me that they heard me recording commercials over Red Eye. Now, this is at like 4:30, 4:40 in the morning. I had to bang out a couple of spots. And I don't know why my microphone wasn't on and it wasn't up on the board or whatever, but it went out over the radio.
Yeah.
I had no idea. And of course, I didn't get these spots recorded in one take. So I had a couple of pickups. So I don't know how that happened. One guy says, "Is this the way you're going to start your Wednesday, Dan?" Recording commercials over the Red Eye. Listen, I would like to say that it's not my fault. Over the commercial break, Sam and I are trying to figure out how in the world that happened. So if you heard me going, check, 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 that was me trying to figure out why it is that I was going out over the air earlier today. I'm trying to figure, I got to call engineering, but I do apologize.
I'm not going nuts.
I'm not going nuts.
I swear.
I don't understand how that happened. So I feel really bad, and I do apologize. Anyway, moving right along. Scott Adams. So I don't know the thing about People Magazine or whatever. So how are the media? Now, it doesn't surprise me if the media is, slamming Scott Adams not even 24 hours after the man's death. Because he was a conservative commentator. He was absolutely pro-Donald Trump. And so tell me what exactly it is that, was it People Magazine, Joan? That
People Magazine.
You're all riled up over, so go ahead.
Their headline was, Scott Adams, disgraced Dilbert creator.
Oh, my
dies
goodness
at
gracious.
68.
Are
Yes.
you kidding me?
Not kidding. And what they did was they made sure that the woman who posted it, who actually wrote the article, initially her name was on it. Then they took it down and they replaced it with People staff so that she wouldn't get all the hate mail she was getting.
She should have gotten a lot of. Well,
they got her. They know who she is. She's
There's pictures. In fact, I posted the pictures of her. I posted what her handle is on X. I made sure that everybody knows who this woman is.
She looks like she could sink a Venezuelan tanker.
She also looks. Joan, remember you're a Christian.
Oh, come on, Joan. Forget about it for like 5 seconds.
She's definitely one of those people you see out at the protests. She's definitely one of them.
Okay.
Like screaming at the crowds.
Realize that she wrote it. You had editors that also allowed that headline to go in as well, right? So there's multiple.
Yes.
There's multiple
layers.
Thank you, Joan. There's multiple layers that allowed that to happen. And you know what? I think that's just wrong. I think that is clearly People Magazine, and they're doing whatever they can to disparage, a good man.
Yep.
And a good conservative. He was beloved by millions. Now, I admitted yesterday, I did a whole thing on this yesterday, but he was a cartoonist, obviously, but that was just in his later years, that was I'm not going to say a small part of what he was, but it was part of what he was. He was also a beloved conservative commentator, and people loved him. People called him, you and I talked about this yesterday, people called Scott Adams Internet Dad, America's Dad, all that kind of stuff. And I've watched some of his videos, and not going to pretend to say that I watched even, more than 20 minutes of some of his online presentations. But I know enough to know that people who I respect absolutely loved him.
And, part of the reason that they're going to lead with that as a headline, disgraced Dilbert creator, is because of one thing he said taken out of context. And it probably was a poor choice of overall verbiage. But the sentiment that he was trying to hit at about, just how certain white people are fatigued by things that are going on.
I feel like what we need to do is, and I'm going to have to do this from memory. So, Sam, if you want to look it up real quick. Basically, Joan, what happened, and folks, this was a few years ago. There was a poll, I think it was Rasmussen, where there was a certain percentage of black people that said that it is not okay for white people. Look it up, Sam, because I don't want to shank this. And I purposely didn't do this yesterday. Now it's come up, and so I've got to make sure that I present this in the appropriate way. Basically, there was a poll that said that there's a certain percentage of black people that said that it was, not okay for white people to feel like it was okay to be white or something like that.
The statement was, do you agree or disagree with the statement, it's okay to be white? The report found that 72% of respondents agreed, including 53% who are black. Some 26% of black respondents disagreed, and 21% said they are not sure. The poll also found that 79% of the respondents agreed with the statement, black people can be racist too.
And so
what he said was, quote, if nearly half of all blacks are not okay with white people, that's a hate group. I don't want to have anything to do with them. And I would say, based on the current way things are going, the best advice I would give to white people is to get the hell away from black people because there is no fixing this.
I get where he was going.
Yeah.
Like, I understand what he was saying. I think Sam's right. I try to, if something can very easily be taken out of context, you got to be very careful as to what you say. Mm-hmm. And I believe that the full context of what he said probably, and I haven't heard the whole rant, but I get what he was saying. I mean, you want to stay away from people that hate you. And I try to stay away from people that hate me. Unfortunately, there's a lot of them. But, you'd want to stay, and that goes for anybody. If you're a white person and there's another white person that hates you, then you stay away from that person. If you are a black person and there's somebody that hates you, you stay away from that person. But this, of course, mixed hate and race and all that other stuff. And so he just got caught up in cancel culture. The bottom line is what happened is that he lost his syndic. We talked about this yesterday.
Yeah.
He lost his syndicator. He lost all of his endorsement deals. He lost every one of his speaking engagements as well. He literally lost everything. He lost millions of dollars.
Yes, he did.
He literally lost everything. And I don't think he apologized for it. I'm going to be honest. I don't know how much I talked about this back in, I think it was 2023. I think it was
I believe it was 23.
2023. I remember talking about this a little bit, but I mean, this is, the speed of the news cycle these days. But he lost everything. He did persevere. He moved everything online to the internet. And by the time this thing happened, by the way, he was already set, I believe. But he was selling books online, doing a lot of stuff online. I think he probably
had his podcast.
He was doing that podcast, and he was still successful after that. So
yep.
So I don't know.
They waited. They didn't wait for. They waited for the third line of the story to denigrate him. It's so despicable.
Yeah.
And then the New York Times did something similar. Hold on. New York Times, Scott Adams.
Shout out Jill T in the YouTube chat. Scott Adams clarified, who among us hasn't said something abhorrent at some point? When you are schooled, you learn. He learned. I mean.
Yeah, he did. He was on. There was a big interview with Jake Tapper where he talked about how, you know what? That's right. He did say, you know what? We've all stepped in it. Who among us haven't stepped in it? Good Lord.
You don't throw stones in glass houses.
No.
Yeah.
I'm the guy that was talking incessantly about peanuts yesterday, and people took it the wrong way.
Are you sure about that?
Every Peanuts book known to man. If you missed that yesterday.
Then the New York Times, I can't find what the headline was that they said, but of course they also had to say terrible things about him. They said a creator of Dilbert says he has the same cancer as Biden. So apparently they're making them one and the same.
I forget. Well, maybe, but I mean, Scott Adams' cancer was more advanced. I think they caught it at stage 4.
Yeah.
Did they catch it at stage 4?
Mm-hmm.
Stage 4. So Biden, of course, is they caught his really early, from what I understand. So
we could catch his cancer, but not him wandering off stage.
Scott Adams, it was so far advanced that it metastasized to his bones.
Ooh,
and it is
painful.
exactly the same cancer that my father died from. It's very painful.
Prostate cancer?
Yes, that had metastasized.
My father-in-law is going to get his prostate looked at today. That annual. How often are you supposed to do it?
I think it's annually.
No, it's not annually.
Because
it
you're
happens.
not doing it
happens
annually?
annually.
No, you're supposed to. Here's the PSA, folks. Get your test. My father-in-law is getting it done today.
Is he having problems?
No, he's just doing what you're supposed to do when you're a man of a certain age. How old are you, Sam?
29.
You got a long way to go. I don't know if Scott Adams got his tests done or not.
Right.
But from what I understand, you're not to bring things like this up, Joan, but the things that people always say, because prostate cancer really slow at spreading.
Yep.
Had your father gotten tested?
No. And, my dad began to, for him, there's different ways that they can take care of it. They have different methods of using radiation in beads that go into the prostate. They also can use hormones. Well, my father's doctor suggested hormones for him, and he began taking them. He didn't like it.
Yeah.
So he stopped.
I don't know why my wife is up, but she's texting me colonoscopy, Dan. That's what her dad is going to do, a colonoscopy today.
Yeah, those are.
That's what they do when they're.
I don't think I need to wait till I'm 50 to go get a.
Well, that's when. Isn't that what time? What
colonoscopy? Yeah.
Yeah, that's when you turn 50. You're supposed to
45. Yeah.
Clean yourself out.
I drove my dad. I know.
Yeah, clean yourself out. So of course, Amy decides that she's going to drive my car. He better not leak in my car, Amy.
Stop
That's all I'm saying.
Just stop it.
I'm just saying.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway,
put down a pee bag.
Yeah, people are laughing at my recording of the commercial over the Red Eye guys.
Yeah.
Everybody. This is what's funny. Because this has happened to everybody, right? If you're just joining us, Amy, good morning. So I came in and I recorded commercials early and here in the studio because you want to make sure the mic matches. My mic at home doesn't exactly match the mic here. So I come in to do it here. And somehow I ended up on the air not knowing that I was on the air. So everybody that was listening to Red Eye on the edge of their seat thinking, don't curse, Mandis, don't curse. Because has that ever happened where you're listening to somebody who clearly doesn't know that they're on and you're just, if it's somebody that you like, you're thinking, don't curse. Don't do anything that's going to get you fired, right? Or maybe it's just me.
Possibly.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if I've seen such a gaffe, heard such a gaffe before, if I'm being honest.
Oh, I have. Like somebody that doesn't know they're on the air. That's happened to me a number. I was on remote a couple of months ago now. Remember, Sam, you were there. You were the one that, no, it was Leviticus. Somebody left me up. Joan, were you? I don't know where you were, but I was on remote at a barbecue place.
Oh, it was Edley's.
Oh,
Edley's Barbecue.
Yeah, I had class.
And you guys left me up on the board. I thought that I was inside baseball.
So you were talking about the homeless guy?
And I was talking about the homeless guy. Do you remember this, Joan? So we're in a commercial break. These guys leave me up on the board. I have no idea what's going on. And I'm laughing, talking to Sam. saying that the only person at this remote is me and a stinky homeless guy who's sleeping 10 feet from me. And I'm laughing about it. I'm like horrified and I'm laughing both at the same time because like this is the epitome of broadcasting, right? A remote and the only person that is there is you and a sleeping, stinky homeless guy 10 feet from you. And I mean, I thought it was funny.
Starting to sound like you own a home in Martha's Vineyard.
Yeah. And so they're like, I mean, nobody was there but me and this homeless guy. Like the engineer was off having a smoke. The mason who was there was off getting some barbecue. And I'm just there, you know, shame spiraling and circling the drain. God, it was so funny. How did we get on to anyway? So yeah, people that were listening were like, don't curse, Dan, don't curse. I don't think that I did. And I think and I recorded 2 commercials, so I apologize to the Red Eye guys. Oh, George says he's got a colonoscopy today as well. Congratulations.
All right, you ready for this?
What?
I just scheduled mine yesterday.
How old are you? Is this your first one, Joan?
No.
Okay.
No.
I will admit.
I don't want to do this.
Nobody asked.
I just turned 58. I have not done the first one,
You haven't
Joan.
done the first one.
I have
need
not
to
done
get
the first
there.
one.
You need to get there.
I know.
If only for the peace of mind, you know?
Mm-hmm. Listen, I'm as regular as the day is long.
Oh, boy.
Okay. TMI. La 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 la.
We should probably move right
done?
along. Yeah, I'm done. It's all good. It's all good. No problem.
It's what you're hoping they'll say when they pull the camera out.
Yeah. Anyway, 5:54 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk. Boy, this segment really went south, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, really south.
This have that one more time. This segment really went to the crapper, didn't it?
Oh, no.
Thank you.
Oh, no.
Joan's got the news at 6 o'clock. Joan, what's coming up?
Yeah, we'll tell you about the guests coming to the White House today that really don't want to be here. Those stories coming up at 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
5:57, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton were MIA. You know, I wondered, Joan and Sam, did you really think they were going to show up?
No.
I didn't think they were going to show up.
I was half anticipating a murder-suicide in order to get out of it.
Well, you know, sadly, they... sad. Dang it, Sam.
That was cheeky.
Well, no, what I mean is I didn't anticipate they were going to show up. Didn't need to be a murder-suicide. And sadly, I don't think that anything will ever happen with Bill and Hillary.
Which makes me
just
so
don't.
mad because Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro went to jail for 4 months each.
Yeah.
I think that it's only fair that the Clintons go to prison too.
Well, and all those photos came out. Remember a couple of weeks ago where there were more photos that came out of Bill Clinton with Jeffrey Epstein?
Yeah.
I mean, they're in swimming pools or hot tubs, and there's some, blonde sitting on Bill Clinton's lap, and
one in the hot tub with them.
Do you know what picture I really don't get is the one where Bill Clinton and Jeffrey Epstein were in like matching
shirts, Hawaiian
shirts or whatever that was,
bowling shirts or something. They're awful.
I mean, really. So
maybe there's teams in the group.
I can honestly tell you that I have never consciously tried to wear matching shirts with another man in my entire life. So I don't know why Bill and old Jeffrey there were so buddy-buddy that they're wearing matching shirts, but the whole thing just seems creepy. And so now the question is, why wouldn't Bill show up? What have you got to hide, Bill Clinton? That would be my question, and same goes for Hillary. So, and they wrote a big, long letter, and, part of the letter was, castigating the process, and maybe we'll get into it. For me, I would love to see them take formal charges against him. They want to subpoena them and then charge them for not showing up to Congress. I don't know if they're going to do that, but they really need to, because if the rest of us got subpoenaed and didn't show up, would we be charged? More than likely we would. And you mentioned Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro. So if it's good for them, it's got to be good for the Clintons. 6 o'clock on WTN.
Good morning. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Cloudy skies. It's 48 degrees right now. We're expecting the rain to start around 7 o'clock this morning, about an hour from now. There's a forecast coming up right after the news. Stick around for that. There is a critical meeting in Washington today over the future of Greenland. President Trump has repeatedly called for the U.S. to take control of that Danish territory.
At the White House today, the focus will be on Greenland, as Vice President Vance and Secretary of State Rubio meet with leaders of the Danish territory who oppose President Trump's effort to take over the territory. Greenland's prime minister is saying his nation would rather remain part of Denmark, but President Trump says the U.S. needs to take it over to improve security in the Arctic.
That's ABC's Nicole D'Antonio. Denmark has proposed expanding the U.S. presence at the U.S. Space Base instead, which already hosts 150 American troops. Tennessee lawmakers have gavelled in the 2026 session, but the most talked about package of bills hasn't been revealed even yet. It's a series of bills dealing with immigration within the state and how it will coordinate with federal immigration efforts. Now, one of those bills is expected to be a reiteration of last year's undocumented students bill.
Este es nuestro futuro. Show me what democracy looks like.
It brought out the protesters there yesterday. That bill would allow school districts to require students to provide proof of their citizenship or residency status. The bill would deny illegals a free education in the state of Tennessee. And Karen has been canceled. Gen Z has declared Jessica is the new Karen. that derogatory term for older, usually white women who insert themselves into situations they're not involved in.
Really? Because on
Karens-
this show, it's Joan.
Yeah, that's too funny.
Moving right along.
Yeah. Karens were seen on social media, of course, demanding to speak to store managers. I'm sure you've seen those videos. Well, according to TikTok and Reddit, Jessica is the new shorthand for the lady who posts long rants about minor inconveniences on social media. And they're always deeply convinced that they're in the right even when they're not. So if somebody calls you Jessica, as in Tarlov, you'll know it's not a compliment. They got her last night on the 5.
You know what's so funny?
Yeah.
So a couple of months ago, Amy got a haircut.
Yeah.
Like she used to have longer hair. Now it's a little shorter.
Mm-hmm.
She comes home. Riker says, "You look like a Karen." I of course.
Did he run after he said that?
I of course start laughing. Amy is stunned. And then Riker starts laughing. Clearly, he was, sort of. We like to have fun in the house and kind of rib each other all the time.
Yeah.
He calls me the old man, and I call him names too. So it's just, we just like to have fun. But it was very funny. Karens do, though, usually have short hair, though, do they not?
Don't they usually have the haircut where it's like sticking up in the back and it's uneven on the sides? And
I have no idea.
Yeah,
because I don't look to the younger generation to tell me what names to call people. I think that's all silly.
The people that know you just hope that you get their names right.
That's exactly right. Jane?
Market Numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com.
All right, very good.
A 1-year 10% cap on credit card interest rates dragged down shares in Visa and MasterCard Tuesday. The president accuses banks of gouging consumers with interest rates of up to 35%. Losses in the financial sector sent the broader market into the basement, with the Dow Jones dropping 400 points yesterday to close at 49,192. The Nasdaq finished lower by 0.1%, the S&P by 0.2. The latest reading on inflation shows consumer prices rising in December 2.7% year over year, largely driven by the surging cost of meat, fish, poultry, and eggs. Gas prices and airline fares were both down nearly 3.5%. The company behind luxury retailers Saks Fifth Avenue, Neiman Marcus, and Bergdorf Goodman has filed for bankruptcy. Saks Global Holdings says it's put together $1.7 billion in financing to keep operations going through the court proceedings. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
Some losses on the futures. Dow futures down 168 right now. The NASDAQ futures minus 155. S&P futures, they're down 28. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
6:05, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. WTN, Dan Mandis here. The best financial move you can make this time of year? How about lowering your mortgage rate to 4.99% fixed APR? Now, that is the lowest rate in years. How about getting up to $500,000 out of your home's equity in the process? You can do that right now by calling my friends at Loan Pronto and their Rapid Equity Loan. You can use that. You can get a ton of cash, pay off all of those high-interest credit cards, and skip up to 2 house payments as well. Now, one homeowner working through Loan Pronto just got $300,000 approved in under 24 hours, wiped out their credit cards and a couple of car loans as well, and saved $2,100 every single month. Now, don't wait. There's no hard credit pull up front, and you probably won't even need an appraisal. This is just fast, easy cash from your home's equity. Call them 615-499-5780, loanpronto.com. Start the new year by wiping out all higher interest debt and lowering your bills by thousands. Call them 615-499-5780 and see how much cash you can get today. Loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, APR for well-qualified buyers. Visit NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
of trouble spots. One is on the eastbound lanes of 24 in Joelton. It's right at Whites Creek Pike, exit 35. There's a crash reported. And then you've got a crash as well in Antioch. This one's on Murfreesboro Pike at Hudson Pike. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, 6:09, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Appreciate you being here. Hey, by the way, Senate Majority Leader in the state of Tennessee, Jack Johnson, is going to be with us at 7:36. We have a new legislative session beginning here in the state of Tennessee. So the Majority Leader, Jack Johnson, joining us at 7:36. Stephen Bucci, all the latest on Iran. He is going to be joining us at 8:06. Here on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Joan, just to trigger you even more on the whole Scott Adams thing.
Yeah.
So you were talking about in the 5 o'clock hour, just very quickly, Scott Adams, rest in peace, dying yesterday. I guess it was announced just after I left the radio show yesterday. But we were talking about how People magazine, in their headline, they referred to Scott Adams as a disgraced cartoonist.
Yes.
And just very disrespectful of Scott Adams. So Sam pulled up, I don't know where you found this, Sam, but listen, that was on People magazine. That was from People magazine. So this is how they described who?
Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi.
Oh, yes.
Al-Baghdadi. So this is how they described al-Baghdadi.
Austere religious scholar at helm of Islamic State, dies at 48.
Austere?
Austere religious or Islamic?
Well, austere religious scholar at helm of Islamic State dies at 48.
Wow.
He's a scholar.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And he died at 48.
Right.
It wasn't that he died like a dog.
All right. So yeah, just the bias is all over the place this morning. By the way, if you missed the 5 o'clock hour, I guarantee you that, and I don't want to disparage the rest of my show, but I got to tell you that 5 o'clock hour, that was fire. So if you are just waking up, at some point later on today, go listen to the podcast or check it out on YouTube, or 5 o'clock hour was fire. Now, can we talk about Donald Trump and the middle finger? You heard what happened yesterday. I can't even really play the audio because there really is no audio. Donald Trump shows up, and I bet you there are memes all over the place of Trump flipping that middle finger to that guy. But Trump is arriving at the Ford plant in Dearborn, Michigan, and a dude starts screaming at Donald Trump that he is a pedophile protector. So Trump points at him and hoists the middle finger and mouths F you. He said the word F, but I can't. F you. And I guess he did it twice.
That's a nasty one. That's nasty.
So now I know that there's going to be a lot of pearl clutching this morning on the left. Oh, it's not presidential, all that kind of stuff. And I got to tell you that, and I bet you, are there a bunch of memes out there this morning? I have not checked. Sam can be the show memologist. But I guarantee you there are a lot. And by the way, I've got the video up of Trump hoisting the middle finger. There's got to be a lot of memes out there with Donald Trump hoisting that middle finger. They ended up, by the way, suspending the guy at the plant. So
Good.
Now, no. Joan, this goes from good to bad. So people, of course, are thrilled that the guy yelled at Donald Trump, called him a pedophile protector and all of that. The Trump haters, of course. So the guy had a GoFundMe account
gosh.
created, and so far this guy has over $112,000 and growing because they suspended him at the plant because he was an employee at the Ford plant in Dearborn, Michigan. So why didn't we think of this? All the great ideas that are out there. Why didn't I, instead of getting up at stupid o'clock early and working in radio with all the bad coffee you can handle, why didn't Joan, you and I, just start a Somali daycare or call the president names like a pedophile protector?
There you go.
Because there are far easier ways to make money.
Yep.
Than getting up at stupid o'clock and drinking bad coffee and doing what we do every single day.
And I guarantee you that guy was everyone was talked about when they said, hey, the president is going to come. He's going to tour the plant. Everyone's got to be on their best behavior. There was some kind of meeting that led up to being allowed to be present, essentially.
Absolutely.
For something like this. And this is how he chose to behave.
But I just love that the president said F you and hoisted the middle finger. By the way, the guy says, I think his name is TJ Sabula, says he has no regrets. He claims that he is a political independent. Says he's never voted for Donald Trump. Shocking. In a statement addressing the heckling incident, White House Communications Director Stephen Chung defending Trump's response, saying a lunatic was wildly screaming expletives in a complete fit of rage, and the president gave an appropriate and unambiguous response. I love it.
Do you know what he said? He called President Trump a pedophile protector.
Yeah, a pedophile protector. That's exactly right.
Meanwhile, he was actually pretty much snitching on Epstein.
Well, I mean, that's the absurdity of it. The absurdity of it is Donald Trump we've talked about it many times. Donald Trump was the only person that the authorities spoke to that they didn't have to subpoena, didn't have to drag him into, court or, drag him into questioning. Donald Trump was incredibly cooperative. I mean, some people say he was, a witness to, for the investigators. So I don't know why this guy, obviously he hates Donald Trump, and that's fine, well and good. People do hate Trump, and they're going to perpetually talk about, how he is trying to protect Jeffrey Epstein and protect the child molesters and the predators and all of that. But the facts are not on your side. The facts are not on your side.
The memes are just too funny.
Are they really? Yeah. Is there? Are there one? Can you send me some so that I can share them on?
Yeah. There's one of President Trump at the McDonald's. With the he's hanging out the window taking orders.
Yeah.
And he says, "Do you want cries with that?"
Love it. All right. Very good. Yeah. Very good.
There's a couple of them that I can't even.
See, that's the problem.
Yes.
That's the problem. All right. But here's the deal. Once Donald Trump got inside, he gave a great speech, weaving in some of his favorite topics and targets. We're going to talk about that straight ahead. It is 6:15 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Time to check the roads. All right, 6:15 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I want to make sure that is an accurate traffic report. Joan, have you heard of 40 being closed?
I don't see that on the screen at all. So I don't think
Sam is confirming right now because
it's not on the traffic screen and she reads from the very same screen I do.
And I have not seen Sammy this morning. So
yeah.
We have been, all right, whatever. I'm not going to go south. It's all good. So we're just going to confirm right now, Sam, if you could look and make sure that, 40 is not closed in Mount Juliet, that would be appreciated. And I'll go ahead and just move on. Not going to belabor the point, but we're going to confirm the accuracy or inaccuracy of that report. The president did give a really good speech. And last night in Michigan, this is part of what he had to say. about what is going on in Minnesota and across the country.
As we liberate our country from this cultural scourge and the plague of corruption and fraud, we'll rediscover the natural energy and native spirit that truly makes America great again, like we're doing with Detroit and Michigan. If we get rid of fraud and do our job properly on the trillions that are being extorted out of our country from corrupt and incompetent governors like Gavin Newsom, J.B. Pritzker, and Tim Walz, we will very soon have a balanced budget, and that's the kind of money that we're talking about.
I mean, listen, the president is absolutely right. I mean, I don't have a lot to say on Minnesota today. I feel like we've just sort of been on Minnesota overload. I talked about it a lot yesterday as well. But the bottom line is the president is absolutely right. There is clearly a lot of fraud, and that's what they're trying to fix.
About massive amounts of money. Our country wasn't built by people who tried to lie and cheat and scam their way to success. It was built by legends like Henry Ford, Henry Dow, Thomas Edison, the Kellogg brothers, Alfred P. Sloan, the founder of General Motors, men who lifted up American workers and strengthened our nation beyond even belief. And we're doing the same exact thing right now. I think we're doing it even better. This is the fierce spirit of patriotic free enterprise that we're now unleashing once again. We are unleashing it like maybe never before.
Remember what Donald Trump did with the big, beautiful bill and how he is trying to create this culture, create this environment where companies can invest in their business. They can create, they can hire, and they can invest and try to do whatever they can to improve their businesses and give people jobs. That is huge. And for the president, I believe, some people are going to disagree with me, and that's all fine, well, and good. But the president had a lot of wisdom in that speech after he told the guy to F off. The president had a lot of wisdom in that speech. And I think when you see the memes that are out there, and Joan and I were talking about the memes and talking about the president in the picture of him flipping off and telling the heckler to F off. I think that is sort of emblematic as to where a lot of Trump supporters are right now, where you've got Gavin Newsom, you've got Tim Walz, you've got J.B. Pritzker, and all of these folks that are haters of, in my opinion, they're haters of conservatism. They quite possibly even hate America. And you can have Donald Trump flipping off all of those people that have been allowing all of that fraud and all of that mismanagement to take place. Because as we talked about in the 5 o'clock hour, I truly believe that Trump supporters have kind of had it with the haters. We are to the point now where we just simply do not care.
We're also going to revoke the citizenship of any naturalized immigrant from Somalia or anywhere else who is convicted of defrauding our citizens. We're going to get them the hell out of here fast. And if you come to America to rob Americans, we're throwing you in jail and we're sending you back to the place from where you came. We're throwing you right in jail.
Love it. I mean, I appreciate that that's what Donald Trump wants to do. For some unknown, bizarre reason, people are saying that that is controversial. The lack of rational thought here in America is really driving me nuts because there is a lot of fraud. There is a lot of waste. There is a lot of abuse. And oddly enough, they all just happen to be in these Democrat-run cities and these Democrat-run states. It is 6:22 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. And Joan's got the news coming up at 6:30. Joan, what you got?
Yeah, contempt of Congress charges may be coming for the Clintons. And President Trump announces he's going after sanctuary cities. We'll tell you about that announcement that just hit moments ago. It's coming up at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
TV. 6:23, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk. Listen, 2026 is here, and if you're like so many others and you've lost weight but that loose skin didn't follow, my friends at Contours, they can help you. Check this out. Contours can get you looking good in no time. They can help you tighten up that loose skin and firm up your face as well. Now, they're experts in body contouring featuring FDA-cleared red light technology. People all across Middle Tennessee are using contours for their belly busters and their face, for their belly and their face. So check them out. They've got a great deal right now. You call them up and you mention my name, you can get a belly buster treatment or a facial for just $99. Or, and this is another great deal, you can get both for just $149. So they're always looking for ways to save you money at Contours. Now, if you are ready for full body transformation, ask about the Mandis Makeover, Contours premier sculpting and maintenance program. You can get a free set of facials with the purchase of a Belly Buster special package. So you work on those fine lines on your face and the loose skin around the belly. Now, you've got goals. Contours can help you at 615-236-9960. 615-236-9960. You can find them online anytime and see what Contours can do for you. ContoursLLC.com. Contours, what do you have to lose but inches? $624, Super Talk 99.7 WTN, USS United Structural Systems. Listen, this is a great company. I've been telling you for years now about USS. This is a company that I trust with my biggest investment. That, of course, is my home. I've had them out to my home several times now, and this is a great company. Now, there's a lot of things that they can do to help you maintain your home. Waterproofing is a big one. Now, at USS, they understand how important that foundation is to your life and how much trust it takes when you need help protecting it, including help from water damage. Now, January, of course, as we all know, January is a wet month. We've already seen the rain. So when water starts showing up where it doesn't belong in your basement or crawl space, well, then it becomes a pretty bad issue, a very serious problem pretty quickly. Finding out where the water is coming from, that is what USS can do for you, because that can be a nightmare. It can come from poor drainage, small cracks in your foundation walls, or even a hidden plumbing leak. But at USS, they can help you find out. So give them a call. Find them online, USSTN.com. Tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out. At USS, they are more than waterproofing. They can do all kinds of things for you and your home. Check them out online, USSTN.com. 629 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. WTN, going over some of the more relevant audio with President Trump and that speech in Dearborn, Michigan yesterday. He is calling out the credit card companies for their obscenely high interest rates. And now he wants a policy change where the credit card companies will not be allowed to charge that exorbitant interest. We're going to talk about that and the reality as far as will that actually happen. We're going to talk about that and a whole lot more straight ahead. It is Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It is now 6:30, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. We're at 48 degrees, expecting rain to start any moment now. Bill and Hillary Clinton were supposed to testify before a congressional hearing on Jeffrey Epstein yesterday. Instead, they sent a letter from their lawyer calling the House committee's subpoena legally invalid.
Republican Committee Chair James Comer.
We will move next week in the House Oversight Committee markup to hold former President Clinton in contempt of Congress.
House Speaker Mike Johnson sounding fully on board.
I think clearly he's defied a subpoena of Congress. I'm not sure what the other remedy would be.
The former president and Secretary of State declaring every person has to decide when they have seen or had enough and are ready to fight for this country, its principles, and its people, no matter the consequences. For us, now is that time.
ABC correspondent Rachel Scott. Now, during the Biden administration, Trump advisors Peter Navarro and Steve Bannon both spent time in prison for the exact same offense, contempt of Congress. President Trump is going after states that allow sanctuary cities. In a Truth Social post just moments ago, he said effective February 1st, no more payments will be made by the federal government to states that host sanctuary cities. The president saying all they do is breed crime and violence. And actor Kiefer Sutherland was arrested in the early morning hours Monday in Los Angeles. A rideshare driver called police to say that Sutherland was assaulting him and had threatened him. Now, the driver didn't require medical treatment. Sutherland was booked into jail, released on a $50,000 bond. He's going to appear in court early next month. That's the latest news. We've got traffic and weather ahead. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
6:32, Dan Mandis here for my friends at Stoltz Co. This is a great Tennessee company. They do continue to grow and expand. You know, they build pole barns at Stoltz Co. Now, with these pole barns, they can serve as anything you want it to be. It can be a garage, an event space, an equestrian building, even barn dominiums. You can live in these pole barns. And so if you have a plot of land, a piece of land, and you don't really know what to do with it, put up a pole barn from my friends at Stoltz Co. And by the way, these days they are new and improved. Stoltz Co. is now offering you turnkey options. Now that means that they handle the design, the construction, and the amazing finishing touches. You turn the key and you are home courtesy of my friends at Stoltz Co. Now remember, your new pole barn from Stoltz Co. can be used as anything. So if you've got that piece of land that needs a building for whatever you want, call my friends at Stoltz Co. 615-622-5992, 615-622-5992. You can also find them on Instagram and Facebook to see examples of their incredible work around Middle Tennessee. STOLTZCO, StoltzCo.com.
There is an accident on the westbound side of 24 this morning. It's just past Church Street in Murfreesboro, and they're saying that the right entrance lane has been blocked off. That's at exit 81. Other than that, and it is causing a delay in that spot this morning. Now, you do have delays heading up to 24, along 24, the westbound side. As you get closer to Nashville, it's also very slow now on 65, southbound from the White House area all the way into Nashville. 24 as it joins with 65 in that same spot. That's pretty slow as well. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.635, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to your friends. Hope you are doing well. Joan, you know what I love?
What's that?
I love families where they do whatever they can to educate their children on the greatness of conservatism.
Yes.
And I happen to know that there is a little girl in Lebanon turning 11 today.
Mm-hmm.
And she may be listening right now. Her name is Amelia. And we want to wish Amelia a very happy 11th birthday.
Happy birthday, Amelia. Love it.
Happy birthday, Amelia. And now, Dad, your job is to make sure that you and Amelia listen every morning to Nashville's Morning News so that, Amelia, we can reinforce your conservative values that you're utilizing at home.
Raise her right.
Raise her right. That's like a double entendre, actually.
Yeah.
Right, as in raise her correctly, and also right.
That's why
which
I
is
said it, Dan.
Oh, okay.
You sound so white.
I hope Amelia is a little sharper than I am this morning. It's been one of those days.
Stick with me, Amelia.
That's right. You know what, Amelia? Listen to Joan. She's smarter than the host, actually. Anyway, moving right along. All right, Donald Trump. Joan, you got any credit cards?
I do.
So I actually played this game one time with the audience, and people played along. Actually, it was kind of fun. So, what is and if you don't want to say, that's fine, Joan. But what is the most you have ever been in debt with credit cards?
Oh yeah, probably around 20,000.
Okay, I'm more than that, Joan. Actually,
at the moment?
No,
Okay.
not at the moment. Not at the moment.
Whew.
When I was going through my divorce, I had to put a lot of stuff on credit card. I was flat broke, like flat broke. So I ended up being, I mean, gosh, it was like $35,000 in debt. 'Cause I had to pay lawyers. I don't even get into it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even want to get into it. So the interest rate on these credit cards is insane. So I want to know from people, if you're listening right now, 615-737-9986, what's the most you've been in debt on credit cards? Because here's the thing. And Amelia, if you're listening right now still, don't put a bunch of stuff on credit cards. Try to pay everything in cash.
Yes.
But some stuff. Some stuff. Just saying.
What are you talking about?
You need some stuff on a credit card. You need some
You
form
have to have
of
a credit profile.
Well, okay, yeah, you have to have smartly build your credit, Amelia. That's what you want to do. Smartly build your credit.
Yes.
Yes. Don't go through a divorce and put everything on credit cards. But if you don't have any, like I lost everything. Nobody cares about my divorce and whatever. So, bottom line is that my credit cards are like 24, 25%, something like that.
Goodness.
I mean, it is insane. And so, I mean, I've gone through periods in my life where, because let's all be honest here, radio doesn't pay a heck of a lot of money. It just doesn't.
Amen.
So. Sing it, sister. So anyway, Donald Trump made an announcement yesterday. Listen to this.
In addition, I proudly called for the credit card companies to cap interest rates at 10% for 1 year because they're getting 28 and 30% and 32%.
That is true. Now, I'm not one to be, I'm not a big, regulate stuff. You know what I mean? But the credit card companies are robbing people. They really are. And they almost make it impossible to get out of debt. However, people make the choice to put stuff on credit cards. When I was in college, Joan, the credit card companies were there signing people up for credit cards.
Yeah. They want you to get right in the system right away.
Oh, my gosh. For like a year.
It's the pipeline.
It's exactly right.
Yeah.
And do you know my mom and dad, they never taught me about credit cards?
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. So I'm, in college, and all of a sudden I got these companies throwing me credit cards. I'm like, oh, okay. And then before I know it, I'm like $15,000 in debt at the age of 21.
Yep.
It was crazy.
And it's unfair. The rates are way too high.
Yeah. I mean, look, the president is right. And people, again, I know people make the decision. But here's the deal. There's no law. Donald Trump is calling for it. But one of the things that the president said, because he's talking about affordability is a big thing. And the president is calling for, different things to happen to make goods and services more affordable and just making it more affordable to live here in America. But there's no law in place, and he's not said that there is going to be a law in place to force the credit card companies to drop their rates to 10%. I mean, don't get me wrong. Again, as a guy who had to use credit cards a number of different times through my life, I understand what the president is saying. Right now, interest rates are anywhere from 24 to 36%, depending on your credit score. So right now, just to put this in perspective, because I looked this up. Right now, if you owed $5,000 on a credit card at a rate of 10% interest, which is where Trump wants the cap, you would pay $42 a month in interest. At rates of 24%, you're paying $100 a month in interest. So that's a big difference. And so when you talk about trying to get out of debt, and I know that there's so many people that are identifying with what I'm talking about right now, when you find yourself with that massive amount of debt, with that high of interest rate, it's almost impossible if you're paying, only the minimum amount every month, which is what the credit card companies, quite frankly, want you to do. Then your debt just keeps accumulating. And if you're only paying off the minimum, then are you actually paying off any of that balance? That's what happens to people, and they end up in this spiral. I talked yesterday about how I was one of those people that would move, money from one credit card to another, trying to get out of all of this. It was a nightmare. And so now part of the problem is that banks, because people are looking what President Trump wants to do in forcing these credit card companies and the banks to lower those interest rates to a maximum of 10%. Well, part of what people are saying, banks and people who analyze these things, is that the banks could stop offering credit to low-income consumers. Because part of what happens is if you're a low-income consumer, which is what I was for a lot of years, you are forced to put things on credit cards, and they are making money off of you by charging the exorbitant interest rate. Well, if the interest rate is only 10% because of the regulations that Trump is talking about, well, then the possibility of these banks and the credit card companies not giving credit cards to low-income people, that could actually hurt the low-income consumers that Donald Trump is actually trying to help. Now, I'm just telling you that's one piece of analysis that I'm reading. The American Bankers Association said this in a statement, that a 10% rate cap would only drive consumers towards less regulated, more costly alternatives, such as payday or buy now, pay later loans, which are huge here in the state of Tennessee. But, banks make a ton of money on like annual fees. Remember that whole thing with the annual fees? They also get money from businesses who have to pay a fee to accept those very credit cards. But right now, Donald Trump is talking about this. Right now, there is some, hey, Sam, let's do a Daily Dan poll. Do you approve of Donald Trump calling for a 10% maximum interest rate on credit cards? Yes or no? Because there's some people like yours truly. I am all about, keeping government out of business and no regulations and all that. I'm all for that. But I also get what Donald Trump is trying to do. He's trying to make things more affordable. And if we can't get, Jerome Powell to lower the interest rates and all that stuff, well, then let's go to the credit card companies themselves. Let's go to the bank themselves and say the American people have been ripped off by you banks and you credit card companies for a long time. No more, which is exactly what Donald Trump said in Michigan. There's bipartisan support for this. I think that you're going to get a lot of Democrats supporting this, some Republicans as well. I don't know, Joan, what do you think? You and I are conservative.
Yeah.
So I'm a little torn on this issue because I'm the guy that is always screaming about, deregulation.
Free market,
all that stuff. And so what Donald Trump is talking about is government regulation, interfering with the banks, interfering with the credit card industry, if you will. And so I'm a little torn on this one. And I'm always honest when I tell folks that, there's some things that Trump does that I like, and there's some things that, I don't like, and I'm torn on this one.
It would be more credible from a conservative point of view if he introduced a program that benefits credit card companies that keep interest rates low. Or that, if he introduced a credit card company like not funded by the government, but in some way, like it is more free market and charges lower interest rates, and point people to that, and have programs where people can pay down their debt. Like let the big credit card companies do their thing, make it more attractive for consumers to have a credit card with this company because they do it better.
Yeah, you know what? Okay, so that's a great point. So if free market is the key, then let's get, hopefully a credit card company is listening to all of this, or a company is listening to this and thinking, you know what? We don't need government regulation to offer a credit card at 10% interest. Let's go ahead and offer one, and people will come to our credit card company, and we'll offer those lower rates, and then we'll get all the fees from the stores and from the businesses, and that's how we'll make our money off of those fees, and hopefully the stores don't pass those fees on to the customers. But maybe there is a free market way to take care of all this. Anyway, we got to go. 6:45, time to check the roads on WTN. As far as your weather goes, it's going to be actually kind of nice, cooler with periods of rain and drizzle into the early afternoon, becoming breezy in the afternoon, a high of 48, going to feel like 41. I happen to like cloudy days and rainy. That's why I'm saying it's kind of nice. But if you like sunshine, well, better luck tomorrow. All right, it is 6:48. Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Looking at some of the 2133. You want to hear what 2133 said? We're talking about how radio doesn't pay a lot, Joan?
Yeah.
You guys made the choice to work in radio, and it must pay fairly well because you've been doing it your entire life, Mandis. Just an observation from an idiot. 2133, I don't believe you're an idiot.
It's a good observation.
It is a good observation. Yeah, I mean, Joan, you and I have been working in this a long time. And
so there are markets that pay better than others.
And here's the deal, Joan. There are radio stations in smaller markets that pay better than radio stations in bigger markets.
Yeah.
Now,
it depends. Honestly, it does depend on where you work, the type of work you do, and what hour of the day. So, the morning shows and the afternoon shows at around drive time, they're going to be the more popular shows. They're going to be the ones that pay better. Every company, every industry has its little idiosyncrasies like that.
That's very true. And you also have people who, Murphy Show, right? He's worked in radio for I mean, I don't know how old he is, but he's probably been in radio. I've been doing it since I was 17 years old. Matt's been doing it probably as long as I have, and he's an afternoon drive, but he worked his way up just like I did, morning drive. And so, we tend to have more experience, and so we, may get paid a little more, whatever. But I made peanuts for years.
Yes.
Like I just,
Right.
I bristle when because people have said to me stuff like, I don't mean to make it about me or you, Joan, but, people have said, oh, well, you're, high paid, blah, 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 blah. It's like, well.
I remember my first job I was paid $18,000 a year, and I was excited beyond reason.
Yeah. You know what? My first job, living in L.A.
Yeah. And
I was making $19,000 a year working a split shift as a traffic reporter.
Yikes.
And that was living in L.A.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I made crap money for a long, long time. So, I don't know why we got off on that tangent. Anyway, so bottom line is, people have been in a lot worse debt than you and I, Joan, as we were talking about earlier. And I would be interested. So did you put the Daily Dan poll up, Sam? And what are people saying initially? So do you approve or disapprove of Donald Trump essentially regulating the credit card industry and mandating 10% interest for, I think it's like for a year, is what he suggested?
It bounced between 86 and 87% yes of approval.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm torn on it. And are you torn on it, Joan, or maybe that's just a me thing?
No, I'm torn on it.
Yeah, because, I'm all about deregulation. Leave the government the heck out of our business. But at the same time, Donald Trump is trying to implement policy that is making life easier, that would make life easier for Americans. And it is true. 24 to 30% on credit cards, that is a lot of money. And I believe that it is true that if the credit card companies suddenly realize that they cannot make as much money on credit cards, they may stop giving those loans to people that desperately need those loans. And so the debate will continue. And by the way, just to, again, not to belabor the point, but I will, right now, even though Donald Trump is calling for it, there's no law, there's no executive order in place that would mandate that the credit card companies do this. The president basically is saying, this is what I would like to see happen. 6:52, Joan's got the news at 7. Joan.
Yeah, coming up here in the news, we'll take a look at the latest information out of Iran and how many people have been killed during these protests, what President Trump has to say, too. It's coming up here at 7 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.653, Nashville's Morning News. By the way, J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio meeting with Greenland officials today. Oh, to be a fly on that wall, Donald Trump is saying anything less than U.S. control of Greenland would be unacceptable. We'll continue to follow that for you here on Nashville's Morning News and throughout the day on WTN. Start the year off stress-free and sell your home with Mark Spain Real Estate's guaranteed offer. You are going to save time, make the most money, and eliminate all of that hassle. Now, with Mark Spain Real Estate, you don't have to worry about the hassle of constant cleanings and making costly repairs. No. With Mark Spain Real Estate's guaranteed offer, you can receive the strongest all-cash offer in the industry and move when you are ready. No showings, no open houses, and no stress. Now, listen to what one of their satisfied clients, Andre, had to say. I had an excellent experience working with Mark Spain Real Estate. Andre says they were professional, knowledgeable, and incredibly responsive. They made what could have been a stressful experience seamless and straightforward. Andre says, I highly recommend Mark Spain Real Estate, and I do too. Now, selling your home is one of the biggest financial decisions you will ever make, so who you work with matters. Mark Spain Real Estate, they've got over 14,000 five-star reviews. You can trust the most experienced real estate team in America. to sell your home quickly and for top dollar. Find out what your guaranteed offer would be. There's no obligation. Call them. Tell them Dan told you to reach out, 855-299-SOLD, 855-299-SOLD, or go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer on your home today. That's markspain.com and start packing. Dan Mandis here for my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Yes, we have colder weather on the way. Now, they've been keeping my home comfortable for many, many years. Over 10, as a matter of fact. They have saved me time, money, and comfort. They can help you as well. Now, Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, every single month, they do have deals to keep you warm and worry-free here in the wintertime. If you need a new HVAC unit, listen to this. You can get 0% financing for 18 months and a complimentary UV light with any new unit install and a free 5-year labor upgrade as well. That is a $750 value. If indoor air quality is what you're concerned about, you can take 15% off UV lights when you book a premium duct cleaning. There's all kinds of savings with Busy Bee. And my favorite, if you want to buy a Beehive membership, you get one free courtesy of Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. So call them and tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out. They've been keeping me comfortable for over a decade. What can they do for you? 615-775-7833. 615-775-7833. Online anytime. BusyBeeHVAC.com. Your comfort, our mission. .658, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You know what I love, Joan?
What's that?
I love when there's a lot of disagreement. Like if you're looking at the super text line,
Yeah.
you got a lot of people that agree that the credit card companies should be regulated by the federal government. A lot of people disagree. And so there's, some good disagreement on this, which I appreciate. It is Wednesday, Joan, and you know what that means?
It's no, I don't.
Wednesday with Wilson.
Oh, I see.
Brian Wilson is going to join us. You think I should ask Brian about his credit card history?
Oh, for sure.
How about no? Anyway. And so we're going to talk to Brian. Looking forward to talking to Brian. And also coming up in the next hour, we're going to speak to Tennessee Senate Majority Leader Jack Johnson. This week, of course, marks a new legislative season. So we're going to talk to Sessions. So we're going to talk to Jack Johnson about a number of things that we've already covered, but going to get some details on it from the Senate Majority Leader. So a lot of shows straight ahead. It is 7 o'clock, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. It's 48 degrees. It is cloudy, and we're expecting the rain to be moving in here any moment now. There's a big meeting scheduled for today between Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Vice President J.D. Vance, and their counterparts from Greenland and Denmark. It comes as President Trump pushes for Greenland to become an American territory, saying the Arctic island is a national security priority. But Greenland's premier has said publicly that Greenlanders have no desire to become part of the U.S.
That's their problem. That's their problem. I disagree with them. I don't know who he is, don't know anything about him, but that's going to be a big problem for him.
It's not clear if the president will meet with them today. He insists, though, that Greenland will fall into the hands of China or Russia if it's not under U.S. governance. Human rights groups say nearly 2,500 people have been killed in Iran, but they warn that that number could actually be much higher. It comes as new accounts of the regime's brutal crackdown on anti-government protesters emerge.
Activists claim state TV has broadcast dozens of coerced confessions from detained protesters under duress. President Trump warning the U.S. will take very strong action if the regime begins executing people.
To all Iranian patriots, keep protesting, take over your institutions if possible, and save the name of the killers and the abusers.
Trump saying help is on the way.
I say save their names because they'll pay a very big price.
Nicole D'Antonio, ABC News, Washington.
Here in Tennessee, lawmakers are expected to discuss expanding Governor Bill Lee's school voucher program. Channel 4's Lauren Lowry on last year's school voucher numbers.
42,000 applications, nearly 43,000 were submitted. The state used all 20,000 scholarship spots, and students in 86 of the 95 counties in Tennessee were awarded money. Data from the state education department shows the majority of recipients in those counties came from families with incomes lower than $170,000.
Now, the application process for the next school year is currently open through the end of this month. The first Tennessee mass layoff announcement of the new year, Wilson County Freight Company Smoky Mountain Logistics has just announced it's closing its doors for good. About 145 employees will be out of a job. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Some losses here on the futures market, with the Dow futures down 135 right now. NASDAQ futures down 131, and the S&P futures are losing 25. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Okay, you've got a closure this morning on Tennessee 161 southbound in Springfield, right at Crawford Store Road. There is an accident there. Looks like it's been blocked off. Again, that's in Springfield on Tennessee 161. Southbound lanes at Crawford Store Road closed off. Priest Lake, Smith Springs Road, there's a crash at Castlegate Drive. And then westbound on 24 in Murfreesboro, the right shoulder has been blocked off just past Church Street by a crash. One more, Two Rivers Parkway in Two Rivers Park. It's right at Two Rivers Court. Lots of Two Rivers going on there. Got a crash in that spot. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.706 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to your friends. Hope you are doing well. And welcome on in to a Wednesday, January 14th. It is Wednesday and time for Brian Wilson and our weekly discussion. Brian, how are you?
I'm doing well, Dan, and you?
Well, we got to get through all of this content. It's been a very busy week so far.
Man. So, I mean, it's like trying to drink water out of a fire hose lately, isn't it?
It is, and it's been a lot. It's been fun to cover. There's some tragic stories that we have been talking about. Let's start with Greenland. So
okay,
we've got Marco Rubio and J.D. Vance talking with the leaders of Greenland and Denmark. And so Donald Trump is saying, and this is new this morning, is that the president says that Greenland is vital for the Golden Dome that we're building. Now, the Golden Dome, of course, is like the Iron Dome out there in Israel. It protects us from rocket fire. So, talk about, what you think. Is it militarily or otherwise? We're going to get Greenland? The president says we are, one way or another.
Well, he says one way or the other. Look, we can increase our presence there. We have a base there, and that would be no problem. I just don't think. I just can't find a scenario where I think that he'll actually invade Greenland. It's a NATO ally, for goodness sakes. I could be wrong about that because, it's hard to predict the president at times. But my guess is what this is an attempt to drive them to the table to discuss about, security enhancements in Greenland, that NATO perhaps could step up its game, that the United States could step up its game. I don't know but my sense of it is trying to get to the table. And if that's the goal, that's what's happening today. So it has worked. They are at the table. Conversations will be had. But my sense of it, and I could be wrong, but my sense of it is that we're not about to invade a NATO ally.
One of the things, and there's been a lot made about, the minerals. There's a lot to be made about how and Donald Trump said this the other day, if we don't get Greenland, then China and Russia ultimately will, and that's at least the justification that the president is using.
There's no doubt, Dan, this is a strategically important piece of property. There's no doubt about that, and the Chinese and the Russians would love to have control of that area, and that's what I think Trump is concerned about. It's legitimate concern. But how you go about it, it seems to me, is going to be very interesting. My guess is that these talks will end up with that enhanced agreement between the United States and Greenland that will allow the United States to protect its interest.
All right, let's go to Iran. And I've been covering this for months, for years, really. But, let's talk about Iran. You're talking about thousands apparently now dead. I've seen numbers anywhere from like 2,000. Some are saying up to 10,000. I don't know because, as you know, Iran is very secretive these days about this. There's been an internet blackout and so forth. But, today there is supposed to be an execution. Donald Trump has said there's going to be big problems if you execute this protester, and as I said yesterday, if they do end up hanging this dude from a crane, that's going to be a big middle finger to Donald Trump.
Yeah, I don't think that will happen. I think the Iranians are smart enough to make sure that doesn't happen. We'll see. One thing about what's going on in Iran is that the people who are on the streets are truly heroic. I mean, really, talk about heroism. It is a death sentence to go out and criticize, Ayatollah Khomeini, and they go out there and they do it. And look, I think it's time for change in Iran. I hope that there is a change. I hope that it can be done. It's not going to be done without some bloodshed, and apparently there has already been some of that. But if there's going to be another military action somewhere around the world, it would seem to me that Iran is the one. There are, I noticed, no aircraft carriers, particularly in region, to carry out an attack or to help carry out an attack. We got a lot of bases in that part of the world, so I don't think that would be necessary. I don't think it's boots on the ground. I think it's very similar to what you saw in Venezuela, a strategic strike to take out, targets that we've always been concerned about. And I think I would not be surprised if Israel were involved in it in some way.
Just observations, and I've gone all over this, but, you go and you look at Iran back pre-1979, and it was, basically
very Western. Yeah.
It was very Westernized culture, and they had a strong economy and so forth. The Islamic Republic comes in. And now women have very little freedoms. They have to wear hijabs. They can't go to school. They aren't really able to do much, honestly. And the nation itself is held back by the government because it spends so much money on terrorism. And Iran's economy is just, they've got massive inflation. So the bottom line is they have reasons to be ticked off. But here's my question. All right, so let's say that the government does one way or another stand down and they flee to, some other country. And then Iran is left with a big old power vacuum, and you've got all of these different factions in Iran, including the military, and there is no clear leader waiting in the wings.
Yeah, I don't know what the solution is going to be, but I got to tell you, it is remarkable to see this kind of protest going on, and at the end of the day, I think Iran is going to change dramatically. Would it be the former prince who comes in, who's in exile? I don't think that's the solution. I don't know who the person is, but one way or the other, if it breaks, it is an unstable situation for a while as the power brokers try to grapple for power. But one way or the other, I think we are headed back to a different Iran in the days ahead. I don't think that they can withstand this. I think it's out of their control. I think that they're getting rough, but I don't think it's going to be enough because I think the people feel and taste that freedom might be on the horizon in some way, and I think they're going to continue to protest in a huge way. And I think the military will, like they did in Venezuela, stay in the barracks largely.
Brian, have you ever seen... And then we'll move on. But I'm personally fascinated by the whole Iran situation. Have you ever seen a president like President Trump has been sort of encouraging the people to go out and protest? I don't know if I know Obama sure as heck didn't, and I know that Joe Biden didn't either. They placated, and they really, it seems to me like they encouraged the Iranian government to treat their citizens horribly because they funded that government with, sanctions that they ignored and pallets of cash.
Well, I think the protesters are looking around saying, okay, where are you? We're looking for a little help here, and they may get it. I mean, the president has spoken in very strong terms about trying to help out the protesters, and he said help is on the way.
Yep.
So I think that some action will be taken. In my estimation, it will be something that helps the national security interest of this country by taking out some of the capabilities of the Iranian military. I think they'll just use it as an excuse to do that, but it will also have the effect of repressing the military and keeping them out of the fight.
Yeah, I think I can make the argument that you could say that, sort of helping the Iranian government to leave and helping the Iranian people, you could make the argument that is America first, because ultimately you are protecting Americans from the
That's
terrorism
right.
that
It could be the most dramatic thing to happen in that part of the world in decades.
All right, real quick. Coming up, we're going to talk about the Somali scandal and a lot more.
Yeah.
Brian Wilson joining us here, 7:15. Time to check the roads on WTN. All right, as far as your weather goes, cooler today, periods of rain and drizzle into the early afternoon, becoming breezy in the afternoon, a high of 48, feeling like 41. Brian, I don't know about you. I'm a little Minnesota'd out, but every day there's more stories of the fraud. There's more stories of the scandal.
Listen to this. Nick Shirley, that young journalist who broke open the daycare center scandal up there, apparently is about to drop another video, and people who've seen it in advance say that it targets some 900 non-medical transport companies that are owned by Somalis inside Minnesota, 900 of them. Non-emergency transport. These are ambulances that transport people from nursing homes to hospitals, etc., that kind of stuff. Well, each of these companies can have up to 20 ambulances, and each ambulance can make $70,000. And if you multiply that out, a little back of the envelope math, and I found that could be as much as $4.4 billion a year. And Nick Shirley says these companies are fake companies. They don't exist. And if that happens, it's a huge, another huge scandal involving Somalians who, by the way, are taking this money and shipping it in suitcases back to Somalia, where it is used against the United States' best interest.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
There was one I was reading, there was one
Our federal tax
shipment.
dollars are going against us. That's right.
One shipment was like $1 million. And it's all, apparently this is legal to do, but it's just crazy. And I love what Donald Trump is saying. One of the things that he's proposing, as you know, is they're saying, okay, so listen, if you're a Somalian and you're on some sort of government assistance, you're not going to be allowed to send money back to Somalia.
Wire it out. I think that's a good idea.
I love that. And I love the Nick Shirley story. I mean, these are companies basically in name only, and they're getting all of this federal taxpayer dollars.
I think he's just scratching the surface of what's going on up there. But I read where Scott Bessent, the Secretary of Treasury, says he believes that about 10% of all the money that the federal government sends out in various places is being lost to fraud. That's a huge amount of money. 10%.
Yeah, it is nuts. All right, let's talk about the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about the tariff, the possibility that the Supreme Court is going to go against Donald Trump on tariffs?
Yeah, listen, I think that is the big decision. I understand that 10 o'clock today, there may be some rulings coming down from the high court. The last time we all went on alert, nothing came out of any significance, or not ones we were actually looking for. But it's got to come. And the longer this goes, I think the better it is for Donald Trump, because it suggests that there's a real battle going on in the court for how to decide this one. It will probably be the biggest decision of the Supreme Court this whole year, and it could come today. I don't have a sense of which way it's going to go, but a lot of people who've looked at it said Trump may well lose this one. And if he does, it sort of unhinges everything he's been trying to do to rebuild the economy. There are some ways that they can go at it in a different way that will not come in violation of the law, if there is a violation of the law. They have some things they can do, but it will be a big, big loss for Trump if that happens. And again, look for that to happen about 9 o'clock our time this morning. If it's going to happen today, that's when it will come down.
What are the things, Brian, that I find interesting? There does seem to be some mixed messaging coming out of the White House, because you're right. There have been some within the White House that have said, I think Scott Bessent may have even said it.
Yeah.
Okay, so if the Supreme Court goes against us, there's other things we can do.
There's other ways we can go
to
at it.
accomplish the same thing. They're just more cumbersome. But Trump just flat out came out and said America is screwed if the Supreme Court rules against
it will be a huge loss. And I don't know how this thing's, I don't have a sense of it, except, I've talked to legal experts who put this as one that Trump could potentially lose. I think he's going to do real well on the arguments that were held yesterday with regard to transgendered, men playing on women's sports teams. I think he's going to get a 6-3 ruling out of that. Can I just go down the path here?
Yeah.
Here's the best moment from that hearing yesterday. Samuel Alito is talking to one of the people defending the idea of transgendered males playing in women's sports, and he asked the question that nobody seems to have the answer to. What is the definition of a woman, and what is the definition of a man? We sort of need to know that, and they didn't have an answer.
Well, how can a court determine whether there's discrimination on the basis of sex without knowing what sex means for equal protection purposes?
Listen.
I think here we just know that we basically know that that they've identified pursuant to their own statute, Lindsay qualifies as a birth sex male, and she's being excluded categorically from the women's teams as the statute. So we're taking the statute's definitions as we find them, and we don't dispute them. We're just trying to figure out, do they create an equal protection problem?
That is a non-answer. She didn't have it. And Alito, I think, was the best on this. It was really to the point. What are you trying to accomplish here? What is a man? What is a woman? And there's a lot of they can't answer it. They don't know.
Hey, Brian, let me ask you, with all the stuff going on in Minnesota, and we have all of these things going on across the country with some of these anti-ICE protests, these folks are unhinged. Do you believe that moderate left or independents, do you believe that they are looking at that kind of behavior and they're lumping the entire Democrat Party into that behavior, and that will ultimately work against the Democrats in the midterm elections?
Well, I don't know. If you past his prologue, is the old saying, and if you look at the history of midterm elections, they generally do not go well for the party in power.
Right.
And that would be the Republicans right now. They control the House, the Senate, and the White House. So the sense of it is that, the people who are going to be most motivated to go and vote in a midterm election are likely to be people who are angry about the situation. And those who are satisfied with the situation generally aren't as motivated to go to the polls. That's really what it basically comes down to. And I just think that, we need to brace ourselves for a rough midterm election. I think it's entirely possible that the House is lost. I don't want to predict that, but if past his prologue, that would be a likely outcome here. The Senate, I think, probably remains in Senate control, in Republican control, and I think that's a good thing because that makes it impossible for Democrats to really create as much havoc as they otherwise could. So I hope that this is not sitting well with the American people. It might be the case. But it's awful hard to overcome this lack of enthusiasm that our side has right now when the other side is angry and very motivated to vote.
Real quick, Brian, we've got like 30 seconds left. Inflation remains low.
Yeah.
There's a lot of folks out there that are, and Brian, as well as I do, there's all kinds of different ways to look at financial numbers, kind of like radio ratings. You can find something bad in every book, or you can find something good in every book. So I see a lot of positive indicators in the economy.
Yeah, I mean, this is great news because the prediction was, he's gonna run up inflation. Inflation has remained, the perfect goal is 2%. It's at 2.7%, which is, a tad bit higher than what you want, but it's certainly not 9.1% like we had back in the Biden years. It is defying expectation. Again, Trump is right. If these numbers are correct, that we can do this without running up inflation, and it tends to suggest that maybe there should be a rate cut, but I don't know that we're going to get one, given the fact that Jerome Powell has his backup, and the president and he are feuding. But he may not be there much longer, so we'll see what happens.
Got any opinion on the investigation into Jerome Powell?
I don't know if there's any there, but a lot of people seem to be concerned that it looks a little like retribution. And I don't know if that's the case or not, but I do know this. Interest rates should be coming down, and he's an impediment to that.
Yeah, I totally agree. Brian, as always, thank you very much. If news breaks, we'll have you on again. Otherwise, we'll talk to
Absolutely.
you next Wednesday.
All right, Dan. Then thanks to the Wellness Institute of Nashville for sponsoring these appearances each Wednesday.
Absolutely. All right, 7:24, Nashville's Morning News. Joan's got the news coming up at 7:30. Joan.
Yeah, so what to expect from the showdown over Greenland at the White House today. Also, Wilson County investigators say the death of a woman in her home this week was a targeted killing. Those stories at 7:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. At 7:25, Dan here for DT McCall's. This is a great Tennessee company. They are here for their fellow Tennesseans with great prices, terrific selection, and value as well. Now, I was a customer before I was an endorser. I've been telling you for years about DT McCall's. They've been helping people out in Middle Tennessee for generations. And if you need it, they've got it at DT McCall's Indoor Furniture. If you've got a room to fill, go to DT McCall's Appliances. If it plugs in, they've got it. They've always got specials going on to save you money. I bought, I think, 3 or 4 appliances for my home. The latest is a refrigerator, actually, for my garage. So they've got a lot of great appliances at great prices at DT McCall's. They've been at it for over 100 years with a focus on customer service. Find them online, dtmccalls.com. If you buy it, they're going to deliver it for free and haul away the old stuff. They've got 5 locations across Middle Tennessee: Carthage, Cookeville, Lebanon, Lafayette, and Franklin, always online, dtmccalls.com. Dan Mandis here for the Wellness Institute of Nashville. I've got you know how I have New Year's resolutions? I've got like a January resolution. I want to get to the Wellness Institute of Nashville and check out this hydro wave. Now, thanks to the Wellness Institute of Nashville, I'm no longer with my back or neck pain like I was for years. I had it, but they fixed me right up at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. But they've got this new piece of technology called the Hydro Wave, the only one in Middle Tennessee. I want to go down to the Wellness Institute of Nashville and try it out. You can too. The phone number 615-246-5009. But this is a brand new piece of technology that can help you feel better fast. This, along with non-surgical spinal decompression, is the best you are ever going to find. So they've got a great deal going on right now. Their new 2026 special, 47% off non-surgical spinal decompression for the new year. 47% off non-surgical spinal decompression for the new year. Call them and tell them Dan told you to reach out, 615-246-5009, 615-246-5009. Find them online anytime, painisbad.com.
Good morning. Now 7:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Raining now, and it's currently 48 degrees outside our studios. In the news, Wilson County investigators have a mystery on their hands. A woman was shot to death in her home on Monday night. Channel 4's Joylyn Bukovac.
This happened Monday night along Renea Drive, and neighbors tell us that they heard several gunshots Monday night, and then they took cover and called police. And when deputies arrived, they found a woman who was shot to death inside of her home. Investigators say this was not random, and they are treating it as a homicide.
Investigators are asking neighbors for doorbell camera footage to help them identify the suspect. There was a critical meeting in Washington today over the future of Greenland. President Trump repeatedly calling for the U.S. to take control of the Danish territory.
At the White House today, the focus will be on Greenland as Vice President Vance and Secretary of State Rubio meet with leaders of the Danish territory who oppose President Trump's effort to take over the territory. Greenland's prime minister is saying his nation would rather remain part of Denmark, but President Trump says the U.S. needs to take it over to improve security in the Arctic.
That's ABC's Nicole D'Antonio. Denmark has proposed expanding the U.S. presence at the U.S. space base. It's already hosting 150 American troops. For the first time in 50 years, the U.S. has experienced negative net migration. The Brookings Institution report says that it's due to a large drop in entries and also the increase in ICE removals of illegals and also to self-deportations. Brookings expects that trend will continue this year. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. 7:32. Jack Johnson, state Senate Majority Leader, is going to be joining us here in just a few minutes to talk about the new legislative session and what specifically is going on with the state of Tennessee and illegal immigration. If you missed my 5 o'clock hour, I would highly suggest that you go back and listen to it because Channel 5 had an incredibly biased report on what the Tennessee state legislature apparently is looking to do with one Stephen Miller. We'll get the perspective from Senate Majority Leader Jack Johnson coming up here on Super Talk. I want to tell you about my friends at Brentwood Jewelry. Now, listen. It's a new year, but I'm telling you, this is the official jewelry store of the Mandis household that should be yours as well. So if you've got a big occasion coming up here in 2026, of course, every year birthdays roll around and anniversaries roll around and things to celebrate come up. And so if you need a ring or a watch, maybe some earrings for your wife, maybe some money clips or rings, I got to tell you, Brentwood Jewelry has a great selection of all of those things and a whole lot more. So if you want to check them out, you should. They are, of course, at 7012 Church Street East, located in the heart of Brentwood, just off Franklin Road. I've got a great watch. I'm wearing it right now for you folks on Super Talk TV. That is my official watch from Brentwood Jewelry, and I've gotten Amy a couple of pairs of earrings as well from Brentwood Jewelry. Again, this is a great company. You want to check them out. 7012 Church Street East, located in the heart of Brentwood, just off Franklin Road. They've got a great website, by the way, BrentwoodJewelry.com. That is BrentwoodJewelry.com. Exceptional style, exceptional deals every day for over 50 years. Brentwood Jewelry.
Okay, it's still blocked in Springfield on Tennessee 161 southbound at Crawford Store Road this morning. Antioch got a crash in Smith Springs on Smith Springs Road, right at Butler Road, West Nashville on eastbound side of I-40 at 46th Avenue. There's a crash there as well. And 1-2 in Belmont with the left lane blocked off on 65 North just before Wedgwood Avenue. At Nashville, Bell Road at Brittany Park Drive. Watch as well for an accident with police on the scene. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.737, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. As far as your weather today, cooler. Periods of rain and drizzle in the early afternoon, becoming breezy in the afternoon. High of 48, going to feel like 41. And Jack Johnson, State Senate Majority Leader, joining us here on Super Talk 99.7. And it is always great to talk to you. And let's get into the new Tennessee legislative session. I don't know if you saw it, Senator, but Channel 5 did... I mean, there's no other way to say it. It was like hyperbolic. I mean, this thing, they were sounding the alarm, Channel 5 was, that Cameron Sexton was working with the very evil and racist Stephen Miller and the Trump administration over immigration policy. And I believe that it was a very biased report. And I'll let people listen to the 5 o'clock hour if they'd like to hear my analysis on it. But I was not happy with Channel 5. So talk a little bit about... And headlines out there today and in the past couple of days, immigration or illegal immigration taking center stage at the Tennessee State House this legislative session. So let's talk about what is going on. What do you know about Cameron Sexton and his discussions with the Trump administration on trying to make Tennessee the model for what states should do regarding immigration?
Well, good morning, Dan. Great to be back with you. You're right. We convened the second regular session of the 114th General Assembly yesterday, so we are off to do the people's business, and it's always good to be back up here with our colleagues and continue to make Tennessee the best managed, most conservative state in America. Look, absolutely we are working with the Trump administration. No apology whatsoever in with regards to that. We do want Tennessee to be the model in how to effectively and legally get violent illegal aliens out of our communities. Make no apology for that whatsoever. I did not see the news report. To be clear, I was in meetings and until late last night, so I will go back and watch that. But look, Speaker Cameron Sexton and all of our colleagues up here, of course, we want Tennessee to be the model. We already are to a large degree, but a big topic of conversation up here with House and Senate leadership is how can we do it better? How can we be more effective to make our communities safer? And we have a once-in-a-generation opportunity here, Dan, with a Trump administration that is finally, after many previous administrations have said that they were going to do something about the problem of illegal immigration in our country. We have a president now in Donald J. Trump that is doing something about it. And so states need to, unlike Minnesota and California and New York, no, Tennessee is going to cooperate with the Trump administration, and I'm very proud of that.
Do you know, I know that, I don't know how much you can talk about it, but do you know exactly, they said there's like 7 or 8 different bills that are being discussed or maybe ideas. Is there anything in particular that strikes you as something that might be most effective in keeping the illegal aliens out of the state of Tennessee?
Well, I've got good news. I can tease, if you will. There is scheduled to be a press conference tomorrow with House and Senate leadership. I'll be participating in that. Speaker Cameron Sexton will as well. I think the Lieutenant Governor and other members of House and Senate leadership and other members of the General Assembly will be there. We are putting finishing touches on some legislation, and I don't want to get ahead of my skis, but we will be able to talk in greater detail about that tomorrow. But in general, let me say this. We are looking for every way way that we can better equip our local law enforcement officers to cooperate and work with ICE. We've had numerous conversations about the 287G program. We want to use the phrase from the late, great Phil Valentine, we continue to want to demagnetize. Phil made that term very popular, and I have borrowed it and proudly use it, that we want to demagnetize. First of all, we want to get the illegal aliens out of our state. And number two, we want to send a very clear message. If you come into this country illegally somehow, and Donald Trump is making that very difficult, but if you somehow manage to get into the country illegally, whatever you do, do not come to Tennessee.
You know, we have been hearing about the illegal aliens, the Somalis, the fraud, and all that stuff going on in places like Minnesota, California, and a lot of these Democrat-run states. And I mean, obviously, I don't know how much fraud there is in the state of Tennessee regarding any of these illegal aliens, but you know, it's got to be cause for alarm for people all across America to see what has been happening in these blue states. And, you know, when you think about our state, and I'm assuming that we're very careful to ensure that that kind of fraud isn't happening here.
We are, but look, anytime you have government, and it's the same with the business. I've run small businesses. I've been a part of large businesses, you know, Cumulus Media or large companies, private sector. Anytime you have a large operation like a state government, you have to be ever vigilant about fraud, because sadly there are criminals out there. There are people who wish to take advantage and to defraud these institutions, be it private sector or public sector. We have an amazing comptroller, Jason Mumpower. He has a staff that do an amazing job of watching our tax dollars and making sure that fraud is, if it does exist, it's being rooted out and those people are being prosecuted. But it's something you can't let your foot off the gas. And so that's part of the conversation we're having now is there anything we need to tighten up when we see what's happening in Minnesota with the blatant fraudulent activity that's taking place? And keep in mind, Dan, that's federal tax dollars that are coming through. So in effect, they're not just robbing Minnesotans. They're robbing all Americans, including Tennesseans, because those billions and billions of federal tax dollars that are being fraudulently stolen from the Minnesota government. So all states should be mindful of that, and I'm proud to say that Tennessee certainly is. And I can't say that there's never any fraud, but if there is, we're going to find it, we're going to root it out, and we're going to stop it.
State Senate Majority Leader Jack Johnson is joining us. So I spoke about this yesterday briefly, the grocery tax issue. So if I'm understanding this correctly, the Democrats want to eliminate the grocery tax for low-income folks. Republicans want to basically drop it for everyone. I want to kind of drill down on that just because maybe I'm leaving some holes in this, and so I want to make sure that I get all the details right. I do have to take a check of traffic real quick. Senate Majority Leader Jack Johnson again joining us here on Super Talk. Time to check the roads on WTN. All right, very good. It's 7:45. Cooler today. Periods of rain and drizzle into the early afternoon. Going to have a high of 48. Going to feel like 41. All right, Senator Jack Johnson, let's talk about that grocery tax bill. What am I missing? And give me your perspective.
Yeah, so it's a conversation that has come up in the past, Dan, and I think it's a fair conversation to have. Tennessee, we derive over 2/3 of our state revenue comes from sales tax, consumption taxes. I'm a big fan of consumption taxes. Don't like income taxes. Certainly don't want our state to have a state property tax. We don't have either of those, and I like that. In fact, we could have a broader conversation about the federal government, the fair tax. I'm a big supporter of that. I think we should do away with the income tax and go to a consumption-based tax like we do in Tennessee. But one of the things that makes the consumption tax work, Dan, is that it's a very, very broad base. Everybody pays. Everybody chips in because everybody has to buy stuff, and including food. I am not a fan. I do not support further reducing or eliminating the sales tax on groceries. I know there are Democrats that support that, and some of my Republican colleagues who I very much admire and respect also would like for us to look at that. I just want to be clear about my position. What enables us in Tennessee to remain one of the lowest tax states in America, we're the least indebted state in America, and we're the second or third lowest tax state, is because we have that broad-based consumption tax. Everybody chips in. And if you start taking it off, if you start taking that sales tax off of certain items, we're going to take it off of grocery items, we're going to take it off of this, or we're going to take it off of that, then you start to chip away at that. And next thing you know, you're ending up having to look at other ways to generate revenue. So I'd like to preserve the consumption tax we have, keep it on groceries. Now, to be clear, we have done holidays. That's something different. We've done periods of time where we take the sales tax off of school supplies. And so you have a weekend where you can go, and that's just a way to try to encourage people to go out and buy their stuff and get a little break from the sales tax. But in terms of permanently eliminating elements of that sales tax that apply to everyone, I'm very much opposed to that.
There is a bill or an idea, I guess. I'm again trying to drill down on this one. I think you're carrying the bill to deregulate Tennessee. Can you tell me what that is and what it's all about?
Yeah, this is a great initiative. We've been working with our friends at Americans for Prosperity on this for several months now. It gets a little wonky, but this is really important, though, Dan. We have a General Assembly. We pass laws. We repeal laws. We take things out of the books, the law books, if you will. But frequently, when we pass a law that our constituents want us to pass, we have to empower the people that are going to implement that law to promulgate rules. They have to write rules. We can't be, altogether prescriptive in statute when we're passing laws about necessarily how those laws will be implemented. So we empower the agency or department that's going to enforce that law to make the rules. And then those rules come back to the General Assembly, and then they get approved. This Regulatory Freedom Act of 2026 that have been working with, again, our friends at Americans for Prosperity on, it's going to do three basic things. Number one, if you're going to promulgate a rule that Tennesseans are going to have to adhere to, then you have to get feedback from them. We want to have public comment. We want to know how that's going to impact their business and how they work, because we don't want to be overly burdensome. And then we're going to ask for an economic impact statement. What is the economic impact of that rule across the state? And if it's over $1 million of economic impact, then we think that it needs to stand on its own vote before the House and Senate, so it can be really, really scrutinized. And then we want to make it easier for the administration, the executive branch, to remove old, antiquated rules from the rules. Here's a great example, Dan. We recently finally got rid of the last reference to fax machines that were in our rules. And obviously you have, in the last 10, 15 years, we've had to change rules relative to electronic documents and emailing and websites. So there is a place for these rules, and we're not doing away with that. We just want to make sure, though, if we have rules in the books that have the effect of law, that they're as user-friendly as possible.
So one of the things that Democrats are always screaming about, and it's a fair scream, I guess, funding to rural hospitals. And I know I'm reading from, I think this is the Tennessean. You folks are expected to allocate $100 million in funding to rural hospitals. Is that enough? What is that going to be used for? And do you see that as a final figure that you'll be giving to the rural hospitals?
Obviously, healthcare delivery is a big topic of conversation. Tennessee is a big, beautiful state. We've got urban, suburban areas. We've got rural areas, and we love all of our Tennesseans. If you live in a rural area, access to healthcare can be a challenge. There was a time when a lot of your communities had small rural community hospitals. It's getting more and more difficult to staff those hospitals. The economic model for those hospitals is becoming more and more difficult. For you and me, Dan, and those of us who live right here near Middle Tennessee, we've got access to great hospitals, great health care. But if you live an hour and a half away from the nearest hospital and you have a medical emergency, that can be a problem. And so we're having to reimagine healthcare delivery in Tennessee and have emergency facilities out in those rural areas where if you have a heart attack or, God forbid, you're in a car accident, you need immediate emergency attention, should be able to have access to it very quickly. And then, yes, you might have to be transported to a more urban area for further health care. President Trump, again, it's something he cares deeply about. The big beautiful bill included a provision called the Rural Healthcare Transformation Act, and it was legislation that is going to provide funding for states like Tennessee to invest in rural healthcare. That could be emergency medical facilities, freestanding ERs is what we call them. It could be help for some of those rural hospitals that offer more services if they're going to be able to sustain some type of economic model. So it's a very complex issue, but at the end of the day, I'm very proud of President Trump. And we want to be cooperative and make sure that all Tennesseans have the best access to care that they can possibly get.
All right, real quick, the Education Freedom Act, last year we had 20,000 private school scholarships. The governor wants to expand it here in this legislative session. Real quick on that. Then I want to ask you about the hijinks and shenanigans in Nashville with protesters last night. So what is the latest on the Education Freedom Act?
We expect to hear very soon from Governor Lee on how much he would like to expand access to that. You're right, we created 20,000 scholarships. We had 38,000 applications in the first 24 hours that applications were accepted last year. So tremendously successful. We're giving parents a choice in their child's education. We are going to expand it. How much to be determined. Again, we're very, very fiscally conservative in Tennessee. If we're going to pass something, we're going to make sure it is fully funded. So I'm just very excited about the success of the program, though, and very excited that we will be expanding it, not just this legislative session, but in future years. But again, we're always going to make sure that we're paying for it and we maintain a balanced budget.
All right. So last night there were, I guess, a couple of different protests in Nashville, led by Nashville's favorite nincompoop, Justin Jones, and others. So I don't know what happened. I mean, clearly not what happened in Minnesota is happening here, but what happened?
Well, one thing that I am aware of, there were some protesters at the State Museum. There was a reception last night with members of the General Assembly. A lot of our constituents attended as well. Really large crowd, several hundred people. It's kind of an opening day celebration reception, and there were a lot of protesters there. I saw a lot of signs. I walked through the protesters to get into that event last night. That's something that took place. But look, it goes back to what you and I were talking about earlier. I certainly support people's First Amendment right to protest, and as long as they're doing it peacefully and they're not destroying property, then they have every right to do it. But we are going to stand firm with President Trump when it comes to getting violent illegal aliens out of our communities and out of our state. And if that makes them mad, I don't understand their logic, why they want to support having violent illegal aliens in our communities. But we're not going to go the way of Minnesota in terms of, you mentioned earlier, Dan, sanctuary cities, sanctuary states. Those are banned in Tennessee. No city in Tennessee can be a sanctuary city, which effectively means that you're not going to cooperate with ICE. We have prohibited that, so no city, no county can do any of that. And it's one of the reasons you're not seeing some of the problems in Tennessee like you are in other states, because law enforcement is able to do their job. When they arrest someone who's in the country illegally, they can detain those people. ICE can come and get them, and that transfer is taking place in our jails where it should take place. It's not taking place in neighborhoods or apartment complexes or businesses or anything else. So again, that protest, First Amendment, love it. We're going to support it. I've been a protester and I've been protested, and I celebrate both of those. But we're going to continue to support President Trump and be cooperative in his efforts to enforce illegal immigration laws in America.
Now, Jack Johnson, did you ever try to stop a vehicle with your body like Superman?
I did not. I was in the House chamber when they were trying to pass a state income tax, and I was a protester here at the state capitol, protesting the efforts of Democrats to pass a state income tax back in the late 1990s and early 2000s. I did cheer along with some other people when someone made a comment, and the Speaker of the House at that time gavelled us into order, and I complied and I sat down, and I did not have to be removed from the chamber. So I followed the rules, but I was a protester.
So forgive me for not knowing this, but so this is well before my time. Was that what inspired you to get into politics, or were you already a politician at that point?
No, I was not. It played a big part in it. I'd been active in Young Republicans and trying to get good conservatives elected in Tennessee because at this time Democrats had full control. We had Democrats. We had a Democratic governor. We had Democratic United States senators. Democrats had a supermajority in the Tennessee legislature. So it was not cool to be a conservative Republican at that time. But I was. My wife was, and they were trying to pass a state income tax, and we were among many thousands, including Phil Valentine and others, that were protesting that effort, and we were successful. We do not have a state income tax today because of those efforts, and that did lead to my further involvement, and ultimately I had the honor of serving in the Tennessee State Senate.
The horn honking, that's
right.
Every time somebody talks to me at some of our events, they'll talk about Phil and they'll talk about the horn honking and how critical Phil was and other conservatives such as yourself in ensuring that Tennessee stayed the great state that it currently is. And I love that. And that's why I love living here in the state of Tennessee. Senate Majority Leader Jack Johnson, always great to have you on. Good luck in this legislative session, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Great. Thanks, Dan.
All righty. All right. It is 7:56 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. All right. Coming up, we've got Stephen Bucci from the Heritage Foundation. We are going to do a deep dive into what is going on with Iran. One of the questions, Joan, that I'm going to ask Stephen Bucci, and we've all talked about this, which is, would some sort of intervention with Iran, would that be America first? There's a lot of differing opinions on this. We're going to talk to Stephen Bucci from the Heritage Foundation on that coming up at about 8:06. 7:57. Joan, real quickly, man, I'm sorry. What do we got for news coming up in the news at 8?
We're taking a look at a Wilson County man who just took a courtroom by surprise. We'll tell you what he did coming up at 8 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. 7:57, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Want to tell you about my friends at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. They've got this new thing over there called the Hydro Wave, and it is all new here for the state of Tennessee. As a matter of fact, this is the only one in the state of Tennessee at the Wellness Institute of Nashville, and it is brand new. You can start your new year with healing. Go to the Wellness Institute of Nashville. If you've got back or neck pain, sciatica, slipped or bulging spinal discs, herniated discs, spinal stenosis, a litany of other back or neck pain, you can go to the Wellness Institute of Nashville. They are going to help you. You, of course, again, have the Hydro Wave. You've also got the non-surgical spinal decompression as well. Call them to get started at 615-246-5009. They've got a brand new special for this year, 47% off non-surgical spinal decompression. That is for the new year. 47% off non-surgical spinal decompression for the new year. 615-246-5009, 615-246-5009, painisbad.com.
Good morning now, 8:02, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Tennessee lawmakers gaveling in the 2026 session. The most talked about package of bills, though, hasn't even been revealed yet. A series of bills dealing with immigration within the state and how it will coordinate with federal immigration efforts. One of the bills is expected to be a reiteration of last year's undocumented students bill. That one brought out the protesters.
Show me what democracy looks like.
Well, it would allow school districts to require students to provide proof of their citizenship or residency status. That bill would deny illegals a free education in the state. A Lebanon man set to go on trial this year for the death of his wife took the courtroom by surprise yesterday by admitting that he did it. Stephen Yarbrough telling the judge that he shot his wife, Katara, during an argument in their apartment in 2024. He was immediately sentenced to life in prison. The couple has 4 children, 2 of whom are minors. They're being cared for now by family. The Trump administration, the first court action on the Trump administration from Minnesota, a lawsuit there for surging federal agents into the state is set for a court date today. It's a status conference. A hearing hasn't been set on that yet, but law professor Jonathan Turley doesn't think this lawsuit has legs.
The filing that was made by Attorney General Ellison is really absurd. I mean, what they're asking the court to do is to stop the feds from bringing in more people to investigate fraud and to enforce federal immigration law. Well, good luck with that. There is no foundation in constitutional law that would allow a court to give that relief to Minnesota.
Law experts agree there's no legal precedent for such a suit, and therefore it's meritless. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Stock futures all pointing down, a half hour to go before the opening bell. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Got a crash on 65 North in Belmont. It's on the right shoulder at Wedgwood Avenue. Smith Springs Road in Antioch. A crash there involving injuries at Butler Road. And then out at the airport, Donaldson Pike at Knapp Boulevard. Watch out for a crash. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
8:07, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Welcome on in to a Wednesday, January 14th of 2026. I want to welcome Stephen Bucci here to Nashville. Stephen, always great to have you on with the Heritage Foundation, and foreign policy and military expert is what you are. And let's talk about Iran. I've been talking about this a lot here this week, of course, and you and I have spoken about Iran a number of different times over the years. So obviously you've seen the reports of Iran. They're planning to execute a man for protesting today. Donald Trump has been saying, you better not do that, because if you will, there's going to be consequences to pay. So do you know he was supposed to be executed today, as a matter of fact? Do you know if that's happened yet?
I do not know if it's happened yet, but I mean, not to sound callous, but them executing this one guy, okay, it's a tragedy. They're killing people all over the country, like continually right now. They're just firing with live ammo, not riot control stuff, into crowds in Tehran and all the other big population centers. They have basically killed way more people in repressing this just, essentially a couple week-long event than they have in any of the other ones before it. So this is pretty serious. When a regime is that over the top in their response, it means they're feeling weak, not that they're feeling strong.
One of the interesting things, and you are right, I've seen, and I was talking about this earlier, I've seen anywhere from 2,000 people dead to 10,000 people dead. I don't know what the real number is, but I just saw a graphic on CNN, 18,000 people jailed. Even by Iranian standards, that's bad.
Yeah, it is really over the top, and I think the fact that they came out so quickly in such numbers and so vehemently and courageously facing the security forces, that the mullahs were really shaken by this. And so they've literally released the dogs on these folks. The IRG Quds Force is usually they use the police and the regular military, but the Quds Force guys are their big hammer. And that's, I believe, what is going on. They're the ones leading this repression, and it's horrific. So something needs to be done soon to help, or all the good guys are going to be dead, or at least their leadership.
One of the things that President Trump, the reason why I brought up the guy who is due to be executed is because President Trump, some are saying that for the president, he has directly told Iran, do not execute him. And if they do, that's sort of like a middle finger from Iran to Donald Trump. And again, the president saying yesterday in Detroit that there will be consequences if Iran does this. Does it look like the clamping down on these protests, has it had an impact on the protests? Have they been, slowing down in the past day or two?
In some of the areas, it appears that the numbers have backed off a little, obviously, because, not too many people want to go. I mean, the protesters have no weapons. They have no body armor. They don't have anything but their skin and their courage. And the regime is not just using riot batons or tear gas. They're using full of bullets, and including like heavy machine guns, from what I understand, in a couple of places. It's really horrific. This is like Tiananmen Square. This is like the Russians putting down things in the old Soviet Union. It's scary, but it's heartening because, again, as I stated, it shows their weakness, not their strength. And it shows that this could be a turning point in history, Dan, when we see this regime that's been repressing this country since 1979 being a thorn in the side of everyone in the region, the biggest exporter of terrorism around the world. And this could be the beginning of the end for them, which, boy, would that be a blessing for the Iranian people and for the region.
Well, I've spoken often about the reasons for these protests. You've got the economy, the lack of personal freedoms, especially for women, of course. Just take a moment, Stephen Bucci, to talk about Iran pre-1979 and what the Iranian people are experiencing now. Just pretend that people are tuning into WTN for the first time and they don't really know what has been going on in Iran.
Okay, I'll try and do it really quickly. Prior to 1979, the leadership of the country was the Shah of Iran. He was an autocratic leader. He had taken over in a coup and ran the country, as a monarch, and unfortunately did some things that, radically ticked off his population. A very cosmopolitan country for the Middle East, a lot of education, a lot of freedom, Muslim clearly, but not over the top Islamist type folks. Women could wear whatever they wanted. Women worked and got educated. The kind of modern country you would hope most of these folks would lean towards. But then the Shah got sick. He got weak. America refused to help him in any way other than to say, okay, you can come and get medical care here. As soon as he left the country, they just rose up and basically said, we don't want you back. And they called for Ayatollah Khomeini, who came back, who was living in France. He had been doing a low-key resistance up to that point. He came back in and founded the Islamic Republic, which, at the time, our president, Jimmy Carter, seemed to think he was, I guess, trying to be on the right side of history, right in air quotes here on the radio. And they welcomed it, except then those folks started all the repression. The women had to wear not just, the hijab on their head, but the full burqas. Really turned the clock back on the people of Iran, not just decades, but centuries. And there became more and more repressive, more and more aggressive against their neighbors, fought a huge war with the Iraqis, just slaughtered people because they just weren't prepared, and then became the biggest exporter of terrorism around the region because they are a very extreme sect of Shia Islam. They're called Twelvers because they believe the 12th Imam is kind of like their Messiah, is going to come back and rule the world. But the interesting thing is they think they can kick off their equivalent of the apocalypse by their actions. I don't know how they think, that God's got to depend on them to do something before it's going to happen. But part of that is to destroy Israel and to destroy the United States. And we had they took over the embassy. We had the hostages for a year. It was just horrific. And they've been our implacable enemies ever since. A lot of people thought they were 10 feet tall. The Israelis showed us they're not, nor are their proxies, Hezbollah, Hamas, the Bashar al-Assad regime in Syria. Those folks were not 10 feet tall. The proxies are mostly gone or disabled. The Iranian military has shown itself to be singularly ineffective against anything but unarmed demonstrators. And now they're at the weakest point they've been since 1979. And the people are tired of it. They want freedom.
Stephen, some breaking news from CNN. Some personnel have been told to evacuate our military base in Qatar. Talk a little bit about what's next. Okay, so President Trump has said that help is on the way. It possibly would involve airstrikes. So who would he target, and what would the impact be on that regime?
I don't know who they're going to target. I'm not privy to the inside planning.
Oh, come on, Stephen. I'm just kidding.
Who I think they should target would be the IRGC Quds Force facilities. Yeah. They are the part of the government's repressive power that is the farthest from the people, right? The military and the police are a little closer, and they are the heaviest and most, vicious of the various security forces. They're also their big terrorist group. And we know where all their facilities are. We've got all that stuff mapped, probably already pre-targeted. If we go after those, one, we hurt the regime very badly. Two, we send the right message to the people of Iran. We don't want to take over your country. We don't want to hurt you guys. We want to stop the regime. And, if you go after anybody else, the police or the standard military, those are kind of the sons and daughters of a lot of those people on the street. So you don't necessarily want to go after them right now. But I think we could target their shipping because they have a full ghost fleet, just like we were dealing with out of Venezuela, that they use to try and smuggle out their sanctioned oil. We could stop that from happening. But I think hitting the Quds Force facilities would be the best messaging and, frankly, the most effective technique to use.
So let's talk about some of the geopolitical chess games that's going on. You've got Russia, you've got China. China has a deal with Iran for oil, and Russia has their own deals with Iran as well. So is part of this sort of geopolitical as well, where Trump is understanding that a freer Iran is actually going to weaken China and Russia?
I think President Trump is actually responding. He does not like this repression. And I think that's a pretty heartfelt thing for him. His advisors around him clearly understand all of the interconnected benefits that we could get if Iran suddenly changed its way of doing business. And President Trump understands it too. I don't think it's, well, let's go after the Iranians because it'll really screw the Russians and the Chinese. I think it's, let's help the Iranian people. And oh, by the way, we get a lot of benefit from it because it's really going to hurt the Chinese and Russian ability to do what they're doing around the world. So those are added benefits. But I think the primary thing is trying to help the Iranian people.
819, Stephen Bucci from the Heritage Foundation joining us. Okay, so let's just say somehow the current regime steps aside. Would that leave a power vacuum? Because we know what happens in power vacuums, not good things. Is there any clear person or group that would step in?
There are lots of expatriate Iranian groups who would love to fill that vacuum. Most of them are not bad people. There's different levels of it. Some people like the Shah's son, who is the crown prince. Others, want a secular, non-religious, standard kind of more democratic form of government as opposed to a monarch. I'm not sure which one of those would end up being the preeminent. I'm kind of hoping for the latter. I'd like to see them be a secular republic of some sort. They don't have to look just like us. That would give the people of Iran the maximum voice that they could have. And to be honest with you, I can't think of a worse regime going in there than what they have now. Almost anything that would follow it, short of a complete nut job who just wants to blow things up and kill people, like for no reason, would be any worse. So I'm pretty optimistic that if we act in support of these demonstrators, enable them to take charge of the government, I think you'll see a lot of the folks that were in this government, that not the big wigs, not the people doing the actual hurting of the citizens, but just, the members of the police, the soldiers. I think a lot of them will join in with the people, and hopefully we'll have some folks with the right skills to be able to run an effective follow-on government.
All right, last question. There's a lot of debate amongst conservatives and people that voted for Donald Trump. Some will say this is not America first. You know, President Trump talking about regime change in another country halfway around the world. Some are saying this is not America first. Others making the case that it is America first. What say you?
I am in the latter camp. I think this is clearly America first. Iran is one of the most dangerous and the most vehement enemies we have in the world. They threaten America's interests, not just in the Middle East, but everywhere, because they have agents and operatives everywhere. Changing that government will fundamentally change the tenor of the Middle East to America's benefit. So while I think the focus is on helping the people of Iran, the benefits that would accrue back to the United States are pretty formidable. And I think it is the right thing to do for our interests as well as our moral standing.
All right, Stephen Bucci, always great to have you on. Great perspective and analysis. We'll have you on again soon. It is 8:23 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Jones got the news coming up at 8:30. Joan.
Yeah, what Tennessee Republican lawmakers plan to introduce tomorrow regarding immigration. Also, what Florida health officials just discovered about baby formula. That and more at 8:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. 8:24 Super Talk 99.7. Friends, the best financial move you can make this time of year. What about lowering that mortgage rate to 4.99% fixed APR? That is the lowest rate in years. How about getting up to $500,000 out of your home equity in the process? You can do it now by calling my friends at Loan Pronto. Let me give you the phone number right now, 615-499-5780. Now, with Loan Pronto's rapid equity loan, you can get a ton of cash, pay off all of those high-interest credit cards, and skip up to 2 house payments if you go through Loan Pronto. Now, one homeowner just got $300,000 approved in under 24 hours, wiped out their credit card and a couple of car loans as well, and saved $2,100 each and every month. 615-499-5780. There's no hard credit pull up front. You probably won't even need an appraisal. Just fast, easy cash from your home's equity. 615-499-5780. And see how much money you can save today. Find them online anytime. LoanPronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781. APR for well-qualified buyers. Visit NMLSConsumerAccess.org. 8:29, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Lindsay, Joan,
Yes.
has texted into the text line.
Yeah. What'd she say?
She says, Joan, Sam, how are we dealing with Dan's hat? Tell me we have a plan. So I don't really understand why Lindsay is obsessed with my hat, but other people seem to as well. I'm wearing a flat cap. I don't know what you call them.
I call him the old man hat.
Scullies.
It's a Scully, Lindsay. It's a Scully. And by the way, somebody, and I forget who it was.
I like my name better.
Well, I don't. So how's that for a comeback, Joan?
Yeah.
But somebody actually sent me a link where, these kinds of hats are coming back in style. I actually didn't know they were out of style. Again, I've been wearing them off and on for years. So to me, it's like whatever. But apparently there's quite the divide as far as people like the hat that I'm wearing, the old man cap or the Scully cap, or they don't like it. Do we really need to do a Daily Dan poll? Dan's, Scully cap, do you like it? Yes or no? Do we have to do that as we wrap up the radio program today?
I don't believe so. Fashion is cyclical, right? It comes and goes in waves, and that style of hat's been around for over 100 years. So, yeah.
My grandpa used to wear one of those.
100%.
Do you know what's so funny, Joan? My grandpa did too. That's
really?
That's where I liked them. That's where I started.
Did you see a portrait of him as a kid and go, that's what I want to be when I'm old?
Shut up, Sam. Whatever. All I'm saying, yeah, go ahead and let's do a Daily Dan poll. Like, do you like Dan's hat? Scully caps. Let's go to the phones. Hey, coming up during, I don't know if Chris is here, but the 8:35, the crisscross handoff. Did you see James O'Keefe and that story where, he sends, usually it's women undercover, and they get these guys to admit really stupid things? James O'Keefe has struck again. A member of J.D. Vance's security team is like spilling state secrets about J.D. Vance's like movements and stuff. And he's telling a woman in a bar what it's like to be on J.D. Vance's Secret Service. This is incredible, the stupidity of some men. So I've actually got audio on this. So me, Joan, Sam, and Chris will talk about that and a whole lot more straight ahead. 8:32 on WTN.
Good morning. It is 8:31. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Breaking news. Some personnel at a key U.S. military base in Qatar have been advised to evacuate by tonight. Officials there saying it comes as a precaution after Iran brought up an earlier Iranian attack at that base. Now, it's not clear if the evacuation is mandatory or optional, or if it affects troops or civilian personnel or both. The base hosts thousands of U.S. service members. We'll stay on top of that story. The 2026 Tennessee legislative session now underway, and Williamson County State Senator Jack Johnson telling Dan Mandis earlier that lawmakers are about to introduce legislation that puts Tennessee in line with the Trump administration by working with ICE.
Send a very clear message. If you come into this country illegally somehow, and Donald Trump is making that very difficult, but if you somehow manage to get into the country illegally, whatever you do not come to Tennessee.
A press conference scheduled on the package of bills lawmakers will unveil tomorrow. The Florida Department of Health saying that it has bought 25 baby formulas randomly from stores and online and tested them. Florida First Lady Casey DeSantis.
Those samples were tested for arsenic, cadmium, lead, and mercury. And what we found in those 24 samples was troubling. Of the 24 infant formulas tested, 16 of those formulas contained at least one, if not more, heavy metals that exceeded federal standards.
Governor Ron DeSantis saying he'll work with federal partners to hold manufacturers accountable. Now, I've added that story to my X account so you can see which baby formulas tested high for heavy metals. Find me on X at Joan Jones WTN. That's the latest news. We've got your traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. 8:34, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk. Window Nation. Now, listen, this is my window company. If you're going to get new windows in 2026, you've got to give my friends at Window Nation a chance. Now, January is a great time of year to replace those windows, thanks to Window Nation, because right now they've got a great deal going on. Window Nation's Buy 4, Get 4 windows free sale. It is going on right now. You can also get them with 0 money down, 0 monthly payments, and 0 interest for 2 years. Now, listen, this is a company, Window Nation, 96% customer satisfaction rating, over 45,000 5-star reviews, including a 5-star review from yours truly. I've got 4 Window Nation windows in my home, 2 in my basement studio, 1 in my kitchen, and 1 in my bedroom. Don't forget that great deal. Buy 4, get 4 windows right now. Get 4 windows for free. So buy 4, get 4 windows free going on right now. And you could get 0 money down, 0 monthly payments, and 0 interest for 2 years. Call them at 866-90-NATION, 866-90-NATION, windownation.com.
It's an accident in Antioch on 24, the westbound side before Hickory Hollow Parkway, exit 60. Also, out at the airport, Donaldson Pike at Knapp Boulevard, that's a crash scene too. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, so am I supposed to know the cultural relevance to this song, Sam? Is there a reason why you're playing this?
You don't know this song?
No.
I thought you were from California. California. You don't know it, and you're from California.
Is this that Snoop Doggy Dog?
No, it is not.
How dare you have the caucasity to say that?
That's not the Dogfather. This is one of the greatest hip-hop songs of all time.
Do you know what's funny,
Dan,
Joan?
you don't know your hip hop?
No.
Joan probably knows this one.
I do not.
Do you know what's funny, Joan?
What?
I now do to Chris what I do to my wife. I will say something. Can I take that back? Can I take that back?
Be careful. Yeah, be careful.
So,
Pause.
For me to ride you like you've never been ridden.
Okay, not that.
Yikes.
It was Ice Cube, by the way. Today was a good day.
I will say things to Chris just to get that Chris look of like, really, did you say that? I do that to my wife all the time. I'll say something, stupid just because I want to get that look. And I said the same thing to Chris. I said Snoop Doggy Dog when I know that it's like supposed to be Snoop Dogg.
No, I think you can get away with Snoop Doggy Dog.
Can you?
Yeah.
Well, it goes with the hat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just don't say Snoopy Doggy Dog.
That's true.
No. So Lindsay sent in to the super text line asking Sam and Joan what the plan was for my hats. Like they have some sort of a secret thing.
Ooh.
My Scully cap, my flat cap, whatever. And they've got to come up with some sort of a secret thing to convince me not to wear my caps anymore. And I
also was secretly trying to get in on that. That's why I brought up the Jay Harper matching hat day. I thought that was going to be the end of it.
Yeah.
The hats will
if
continue.
Jay Harper and we love Jay. So if Jay Harper and I are wearing the same hat, I would be horrified.
Yeah.
And stop wearing my flat bills.
Yep. The hats will continue until morale improves.
Will continue until morale improves. That's exactly right. But a lot of folks on the super text line saying that Chris, Dan is a fake Cali boy, 1432. You know what? Me and Donald Trump both have the same finger for you.
Oh,
do you see that?
Man.
You see what I did there, Joan? You see what I did there?
I did.
That's good. See that?
Have you been working on that all morning?
I kinda.
Yeah.
I actually wrote it down here.
Thought so.
Very good. Anyway, so we did a Daily Dan poll. Should the hats continue? Of course, because it's all about me.
Let's get the verbiage right. Are we pro Scully hats or nah?
Okay, and what are people saying?
We're pro at 76% right now.
All right. The people are with you.
It's exactly right. That is exactly right. So, hey, Lindsay, me and Donald Trump have a finger for you. I'm just kidding. We love Lindsay.
Poor Lindsay.
Oh, hey, by the way, Lindsay wanted to know, I think it was Lindsay, what's your favorite color, Joan?
I told her already. It's pink.
Okay.
Yeah.
How girlish of you.
Of course.
Okay, so...
Gay.
How dare you subscribe to gender norms, Joan Jones?
What is wrong
What
with
are
you?
you doing?
I know.
It should be black.
Silly of me.
I got a story for you guys.
Go.
So I like to end the night with my kids with just a heavy dosage of red pills. So this is what happened to us yesterday. We got a gift card. The kids got a gift card from their liberal aunt to Barnes and Nobles for Christmas, right? Mm-hmm. So every kid got a certain amount of money. We wouldn't normally shop there. Too woke for us, obviously. Mm-hmm. But Virginia, they got the gift card, so they're going to make a day out of it.
Doesn't Barnes & Noble have comic coffee, too?
They do. And they went in there. They got some muffins. They did the whole thing. And Virginia says she's running defense the whole time, keeping them away from the Alphabet Mafia books and doing all the things and routing them to the right books. And that's a full-time gig because that's zone defense, mind you. We got a 3, 6, and 8-year-old. So you got to run the zone.
I don't know how she does it, man.
I don't either. So she accomplishes everything, gets all of the kids' safe books, and I'm like, that's awesome. I love you pouring into the kids. This is great. So she gets home, and Kennedy had play practice. We got in. It was late, so it's like go up and read for a couple minutes, and I'll come tuck you in. I walk into her room, and she's reading Matilda by Roald Dahl, and I thought to myself,
Matilda.
Yes, but the cover looked off. And I remembered a story, but I couldn't quite remember it. I was like, something's wrong with these books. And Virginia goes, no, they're Roald Dahl, they're classics. Kennedy goes, Dad, it's Matilda, it's fine. I was like, no, there's something wrong with these books. I can't remember what it is, but there's something wrong. Mm-hmm. Dad, it's fine. I'm like, okay. I go to my room. I said, good night, love you. I go to my room.
By the way, does it raise alarm bells when your kids say, Dad, it's fine?
100%.
That means it's not fine.
It is not fine. So I went to my room, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, what happened to the Roald Dahl books? So I Googled it real quick, and I went, aha! I knew it. And I ran back in there, and I grabbed the book from Kennedy. I said, this is going in the trash.
Wow.
The year was 2023, my friends. Passages in the books by children's author Roald Dahl were rewritten by the publisher to align with a woke agenda.
Oh, no.
Hundreds of changes. So then Kennedy gets mad at me because she's like, not everything's woke trash, Dad. I was like, you're right. It's true. This happens to be woke trash. And I show her the article. And Virginia was like, you knew it. I was like, I knew it. And I said, aren't you glad that I have this weird brain that just makes me catalog the woke stuff? Hundreds of changes to Dahl's celebrated books, including the likes of, and I looked at Kennedy and I went, Matilda. They led with Matilda. James and the Giant Peach, the witches, have been identified by Ed Cumming, Benedict Smith, in an article for The Telegraph, changing passages of the works in question virtually beyond recognition. They took out all of these things that were like fat-phobic or calling people ugly. They had one passage in a book where they said, all these girls are going to grow up, whether they're writing letters for businessmen or what was it? It's this feminist agenda. But they changed the line to make them top scientists or businesswomen. And then there's other lines where they remove references to being white in the face or turning white. They avoid the word white
Turning
completely.
white like you're scared?
My gosh.
They completely took it out and rewrote it. So countless references were removed. Like Mrs. Twit was no longer ugly. The fat little brown mouse is just a little brown mouse now. So I'm reading this and I'm just getting this sigh and this look of disappointment at 11 o'clock at night from my 11-year-old. I'm like, I'm sorry. So I took the book. The book is now in the trash, and I ordered on eBay one of the original publishings.
Good for you. That's the way to do it.
Joan, I think you're all missing something. If you really wanted to make a point, you would have set it on fire.
I was about to say a little Fahrenheit 451.
You walk in there with the torch thing, and
the books will burn.
That's exactly right, man.
So use it to start a campfire for the kids and roast some marshmallows or something.
You know what? You've got a backyard, I think. Could you have just collected all these books and it's January.
Just so we're burning books is bad unless the books were altered for woke purposes.
Listen,
then it's okay.
Isn't that crazy?
Listen, burning books is bad unless they're books that need to be burned.
That's true,
right?
It's a boy named Blue.
It's just bananas.
Whatever.
It's like everything has been ruined. And
Is there a part of you that's worried that Kennedy is going to, when she gets a little bit older, she's going to rebel against her anti-woke father and become woke?
No, she's too base.
I got 2 words: preacher's daughter.
No. Get out of here. Get out of here. No.
I've got 14 minutes.
I won't. I
don't see it.
I won't even indulge those thoughts.
I got a PSA for you and the other hosts.
What happened?
When you're in this room and you are trying to record a commercial onto the computer on our right, just know that if we're in syndication, it goes out over 100,000 watts of FM power. I was recording.
So you were interrupting Red Eye Radio?
I interrupted Red Eye Radio.
That is hilarious.
And so here's the funny thing. So I'm doing this, and we were told microphone down, whole thing. I don't know how I ended up on the radio.
Wait, so it was down in the control room?
Yes.
We messed with it. I pulled it down. I took it out of the broadcast channel. Could still come through. Joan was able to hear it, which these rooms aren't connected.
You didn't
for those
curse,
that don't
did you?
No. But you know how much of a potty mouth I am.
You didn't.
Luckily, you weren't talking about yourself.
Yeah, and
No.
you didn't besmirch the client's copy,
No.
did you?
The beautiful
Do you know
copy.
what's so funny? Actually,
That would be hysterical.
Like, oh, they don't know how to write anything. What is this
wrong with these
copy?
people?
What is going on? You didn't do any of that?
No, but unfortunately, it was one piece of copy that is
Bit of a tongue twister.
bit of a tongue twister. And so I didn't get it in one take.
So they had to hear it a few times.
Yes. Oh, gosh. I think I did. How long? We got to check. Oh, Lord.
You think you did?
I can't from here because we don't start till 5.
I may have been.
It's already in the program director's office. Don't
Good
worry.
heavens.
I was going to say,
Yes.
I may have been on the air for a minute. So then, of course, you know what happens. So I think everything's fine. And then I start the show.
You open up the text
And then I
line.
go up to the text line. I've got like 500 people.
That is so funny.
No, it's not. I mean, I was horrified. I was so horrified that I've talked about it 2 times now.
That's
So,
amazing.
Yeah, I was not a happy camper at all.
But it could have been so much worse.
It could have been. I
You
mean,
could have been like ripping
stubbed your toe.
ripping farts in here and stuff. You know what I mean?
Chris, my
It would have
farts
been way worse for the
My
colonoscopy
farts
bit.
are deadly, but they are silent.
Oh, silent but violent.
Sure. Anyway, so actually, I do try to not. Here's the funny thing. I try not to curse when I'm around a microphone. As you can tell by the hat, I'm a man of a certain age, Joan. And so I'm old school. I try not to curse in front of the microphone unless it's actually on.
Okay, good.
And then that's when I let the A-bombs fly.
I love it.
Speaking of which, all right, so you know what? I was 1313. It was twice, Dan. Awesome. I'm gonna be shame spiraling over this the entire rest of the day.
A lot of people are commenting the client loved it.
So, all right, you know what? Have you heard, just real quick, because I don't have time to do it now, but you heard about James O'Keefe.
Yes.
Oh,
How
my goodness
crazy
gracious. Do you
is
have audio on that?
Yeah, I got the whole thing.
Okay, so do I. So you do it then to make
All right.
sure that one of us does it. I over-prepped today.
Like, it's insane. Well, dude, have you had a day in the past year and a half where you haven't over-prepped?
Boy,
Because
that's certainly true.
I feel like every day we got a couple pages of stuff that we can't use.
We didn't
run
get
out
to
of
the
time.
Jacob Fry stuff from.
I want to do this first, though, real quick. We'll try to do the Jacob Fry.
Is it Fry or Frey?
I don't care.
It's Frey.
He got roasted on
Yeah.
Fox and Friends. That's all that matters.
Jacob Frey got fried on Fox News. So, but we'll try to do that. But real quick, I want Joan to hear this because Joan and I were joking about this. This is part of the audio that Chris is going to play later on. But I love the beginning of this where James O'Keefe, you got a Secret Service agent here. He is on J.D. Vance's detail. And he is obviously big timing by flashing his Secret Service badge. And listen to this real quick.
Can I see your badge again with your photo?
Oh, my God.
With your photo.
Can I see your badge again
And he
with
didn't
your
like.
photo?
He wasn't getting it.
How do you not pick up
How
on
could
that?
you be a Secret Service agent and not detect what's going on?
Obviously, the training went a little like this. They need to know you're liberal, so you have to uptalk.
Yes.
You have to do the
Yes.
uptalk. Nobody will question anything if you uptalk.
Yeah.
I played this.
Can I see your badge again with your photo? You're so cute.
But the crazy thing is, he was giving away like positions and shifts
yeah.
and like actual
Where he was going.
And
information.
Even if he didn't say exactly what it was, there's data information within the photos that he would
Yep,
send to
metadata.
her. Metadata. Are you crazy?
And can we acknowledge, by the grace of God, this was James O'Keefe and not a a nefarious actor,
An Iranian assassin?
Or yes, honestly.
By the way, this woman also chimed in.
Your photo? You're so cute.
She's talking about my hat.
Sounds like she's talking to a disabled puppy.
Oh, look at the 3 legs.
We laugh, but dogs with 3 legs need homes too. Just saying, it's true.
Anyway, so all right, let's do real quick because so you're going to do that because I've got the whole thing plotted out and I just didn't have time to do it. So people over under on my flat cap, my Scully cap, people are saying they like it. So 73% are with me and only 23% with Lindsay.
You're up to 75.
Thank you, people.
Wow.
There you go. I like how Lindsay's trying to, you know what Lindsay's trying to do? She's trying to, cause an uprising here on Nashville's Morning News by trying to plot Joan and Sam against the host.
That's true.
That happened with Mac Maureen. We saw what happened to him. He went to Kansas City.
He did go to Kansas City.
We're just kidding.
Willingly, he couldn't wait to get out of here.
Is that what it was?
No, I don't know.
I don't think he had a fun time with me.
He loved you.
A little bit, but I would say some things where he would face palm.
There were those moments. Moments.
One of the most awkward times that we had was when the Kansas City Super Bowl parade shooting happened, and I went off, and poor Mac was just like silent the whole time.
Well, at the time, he was probably trying to get a gig in Kansas City, and they're like, "Oh gosh, this is the show you're producing. Awesome."
Yep, this is great. Yeah, we actually talk about Kansas City a lot.
All right, real quick. The Donald Trump one finger salute. I love it. I love the fact that he told the guy to F off.
Yep.
And
Did you see the guy was already suspended?
He's suspended, but he's also got a GoFundMe account, and it's up to over $100,000, if I'm not mistaken.
While people are reporting the ICE agent's GoFundMe account to be taken down at the same time.
Didn't we learn, though, that GoFundMe is not the place for conservatives?
Right.
It's got to be Give, Send, Go.
Yeah, it's got to
every
be Give,
time.
Send, Go.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Why did they took down the ICE agents?
The people are like spread it on
okay.
social media. Hey, go report this GoFundMe for
Gotcha.
I don't want to say his name, but people are going to flood it, try to get it flagged and taken down and everything.
I feel bad for that guy. They're doxing him like crazy.
Oh yeah,
They're going to be in WITSEC.
Yeah, his entire family.
I can imagine that he is in his home outside of Minneapolis. I can't imagine he's still in his home. He's probably had to flee. So now there is a guy who probably does need to give, send, go, because he's going to have to sell that house.
Yep.
And he's going to have to, I don't know,
relocate and do all the things.
And the whole thing. And you know what? Your name is your name. So, I mean, they're going to find him. Whatever happened to the guy that shot Michael Brown?
No. Yes.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't Derek Chauvin.
No, it wasn't Derek Chauvin. It was, I can't remember his name now, but his life was ruined too.
Yeah, he had to go into hiding.
He had to go into hiding.
I heard he had to even change his facial features.
Oh.
Like plastic surgery?
Darren Wilson, yeah.
Darren Wilson, that's right. All right, very good. Well, on that note, Chris, real quick, what do you got?
We'll be talking about Minneapolis. We'll also have some of that audio from Trump in Detroit. We'll talk about the Secret Service failures again with J.D. Vance and a whole lot more. Did you see the Trump CBS interview?
Yes, I
was
had
great.
audio of that too, and I didn't play all of it.
You didn't get to it?
I played some.
Okay, well, we'll play.
Don't you judge me.
We'll play. I'm secretly judging you.
Did you hear that?
You didn't get to that?
Wow. I had about 6 cuts. I played 3 of them. I wanted to leave something for you, Chris.
You're so easy to trigger. You know that, right?
Talk about my content or my caps, and I'm just, like a cornered cat. All right, real quick, Joan, go.
What's next now that Bill and Hillary Clinton have refused to appear before Congress? It's coming up here at 9 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
We'll return next on WTN. Hey, it's Dan Mandis, lifelong dog owner, and I've seen all kinds of behaviors with my animals, and I bet you have too. Not all of them good. Now, if you have a dog that needs some behavior training, my buddy Jeff and his crew at Ridgeside Canine Nashville, they can help you. They can help your dog and your family. Now, I call these folks the Dog Whisperers. They've helped thousands of dogs and their owners over the last 25 years solve behavioral issues. And yes, again, they can help you. Aggression problems, potty problems, anxiety, basic obedience. They can help you help your precious pup with just about anything. But what I really love about Ridgeside Canine Nashville is that they believe that owner education is just as important as dog training. And long-term success with your dog begins with you and Ridgeside Canine Nashville. They've got a lifetime support guarantee, and they're there for you 24/7. So make 2026 the year that your dog listens. Call Jeff today at 615-878-0380, 615-878-0380. They can help you and your dog. Find them online. Visit ksk9nash.com. The letter K, the number 9. rsk9nash.com. Find them on Facebook as well. Ridgeside Canine Nashville, veteran-owned, proven results, and guaranteed for life.